A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A five-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll see Tim Collins in action aboard the auxiliary fireboat, the Eustace T., which you remember, Chief Cody has assigned Tim to place in readiness to meet any threat of fire along the waterfront or among the ships lying at anchor. But before we join Tim Collins, let's go, firefighters. Let's go aboard the auxiliary fireboat Eustace T., the powerful tugboat which has been refitted with pumps and hose outlets, deck pipes, and other firefighting equipment to serve as a floating fire engine. Not long ago, you remember, Tim Collins reported to Chief Cody. The boys are catching on fast, Chief Cody.
Can you speed up that training schedule, Collins?
Oh, I can if you say so, Chief.
I think you'd better. We need fire protection along the waterfront. We want that fireboat ready, Collins, and I'm counting on you to see that we get it.
And Tim pitched in to ready the crew of the Eustace T for action, explaining to Captain Juckle.
Now, remember, Captain, 90% of the time, your boat is a Eustace T. Just one more tugboat.
What do you mean, one more tugboat? Why, she's the flagship. She's the powerfulest tugginest towboat in the Tentacombe fleet.
I know. But when you get a call on that shortwave radio, when you hear that alarm from the fire...
Hey, that's the radio now.
Fire department calling engine 210. Fire department to engine 210.
What do I do now, Collins? What do I do?
Flip that lever, Captain.
This one?
That's right. Now answer.
Engine 210. That's me. What do you want?
Fire department to engine 210. Testing. You hear me, 210?
Okay, fire department. I hear you.
That is all, 210. Sign off.
Huh?
Sign off, 210.
Oh, yeah. Engine 210. Signing off.
That's the idea, Captain.
I did all right, eh?
You did fine. And look now, remember, when that radio box begins to squawk, you're not running a tugboat anymore. You're working engine 210.
Yeah, I get it. Engine 210. And she heads for the fire.
Yes, sirree. And in 5 minutes, Chief Cody will have a company of firemen aboard. Whether 210 is standing by at the docks, grappling a ship in midstream, or anywhere else you go in fire department service.
And in practice drill, Tim puts the crew of Engine 210 through their paces until they can clear ship for action in their sleep.
Clear ship! All right, Luby. You and Basil, hook up that 3.5-inch hose.
Scotty, stand by the engine.
Ready with the hose line, Captain?
No nozzles on the line. What's the matter, no nozzles?
Open butt, Captain. You don't need a nozzle when you want to flood the hold of a burning ship.
Then we're all set, huh?
Yep, sir. Let her go, Captain.
Let her go, Scotty! Give us the water!
And then, at last, comes Engine 210's first trial by fire. Tim's tour of duty aboard Captain Juckle's boat is almost done. He's driving home a few final points of instruction.
Now, remember.
Yeah?
A modern fire engine can pump 1,000 gallons of water a minute, feeding 4 lines of hose, maybe as many as 6, along with the turret pipe.
And we can pump 10 times as much. Why, we got 10 outlets for hose, 2 turret pipes on the pilot house, and Big Bertha up in the bow. That makes 3.
Yes, and look out for Big Bertha, Captain. The stream from that pipe up forward there can knock down a brick wall.
Hey, what was that?
An explosion.
Say, that sounded close to the waterfront, Juckle.
Close? It's right on the front.
Huh?
Look there.
What? Well, that ship at the dock.
That's the Lazy Jane loading grain at Pier 14.
Well, let's get over there, Juckle. There's a cloud of smoke pouring up from the hold.
Oh, there goes a piece of her deck. Scotty! Engine room! Give me full speed!
That's spontaneous ignition, Captain. That grain dust in the hold has exploded.
Clear ship! Hold up that hose!
Fire department, calling engine 210. Fire department.
Engine 210, standing by. This is Private Collins.
This is Chief Cody. Where are you, Collins?
Heading for Pier 14, Chief. Less than a quarter mile off.
Good work. Explosion in the hold of a grain ship, Collins. Tie up to the ship. We'll meet you with the fire company.
Right, Chief. But that second blast, it blew flame onto the big shed. The roof is blazing.
All right, Collins. You get to Pier 14. Fire department, signing off.
210 off. All right. I'll leave it to you to hook onto the Lazy Jane, Captain. That's your trade.
Okay. Engine slow! Stand by, Scotty! You men on deck! Stand by with those lines! I'll hold her against the Lazy Jane until he makes fast! Get those lines aboard! Heave! Okay. You on the Lazy Jane! Make us fast!
All secure, Captain. Now, look, I'm going on deck. I'm going to get our hose lines aboard the Lazy Jane.
Scotty, give us the plunge. Okay, Collins, we got pressure. We'll give you water when you say the word.
All right. Open butts, men. We don't need nozzles. Hook up hose lines to all outlets and bend lines to the hose.
Collins, you there on 210.
Huh? Chief Cody?
Up here, Collins. Up on the ship. We need those lines.
Yes, sir. Coming up, sir. All right, ready, boys. There's our fire company up there with the chief. Right. Now heave those hand lines.
Right. All set, Collins.
Right. Haul away.
Drop those lines down the hatches. Ready, Collins? Give us water.
Ready for water, Captain.
Let her go, boy. Get back out of that steam. Company crew her name. Get a line inside that deck house. Drive that fire back into the hole. Collins, we can't take it.
What's the matter, Juckle? You're doing fine.
But the smoke. The smoke and the heat.
That's firefighting, mister.
But the heat. It could set us afire. Our own self.
All right. Rig the small hoses, Juckle. Wet her down.
What'd you say? Wet her down? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean, wet her down?
I mean, reduce the temperature on our own boat here. Order your crew to wet her down.
Now, why didn't I think of that?
All right. A curtain of water. That's right. Now keep a curtain of water playing over it.
Newbie, Basil, break out the small hose. Jump to it, you monkeys. You want to see us catch fire? Collins, is that you?
Chief Cody. How'd you get down?
I came down the lifeline, Collins. How's it going?
Juckle and his crew?
Yeah.
Oh, they're first rate, Chief. Like old hands at fighting fire.
Would you trust them to try a difficult maneuver?
Well, they aren't firemen, sir, but if it's anything I've trained them to do...
Oh, we'll take care of the firefighting, you and I.
Yes, sir.
But this calls for cool heads and good seamanship.
Yes, sir. Well, then, these are your men, Chief. Now, what's the plan?
Well, here's the size-up, Collins.
Yes, sir.
Now, we've knocked down the fire above deck.
Uh-huh.
And those hose lines you send aboard can take care of the blaze below in the hold.
Well, yes, sir, but the shed on the pier, Chief, why, that's... Well, it's at least a block long.
Yes,
and...
I know. And it's flaming out of control.
Out of control?
Yes.
Well, then the loading equipment, the grain storage, thousands of dollars worth. It's all doomed?
No, not yet. We've sealed it off with a curtain of water.
Good, sir.
Deck pipe, hose lines, everything the department could turn out is in use.
I see.
But that shed...
I see what you mean, sir. You can't spare lines to knock down the fire in the shed. And if you don't,
The blaze will spread from that wooden roof.
Right. It could spread halfway across the town.
Yes, sir.
Collins, we've got to stop it.
Well, sir, we got the power, sir. We've got the men. You just give us the plan.
Well, now, there's a situation for Chief Cody to meet. The burning grain ship may be saved, but fire has involved the wooden roof of the block-long shed on the pier. And there's a chance that fire may spread right into the heart of the city unless Tim Collins, acting in command of the tugboat known as Engine 210, can help the engines on shore knock that fire down. For Chief Cody's plan of action, a daring and violent piece of strategy, listen to our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your friend, Chief Cody, and I want to tell you about a very common kind of fire hazard. That's the common match, the kind called the safety match. Those that strike only on the box are best, but some are so poorly made that they break when you strike them. And the heads fly off, spurting flame. So for protection against fire, be sure you know which kinds of matches are truly safety matches for use in your home. And remember, no match of any kind is safe in the hands of a small child. Well, that's all for now. You'll be hearing from me soon.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go, Firefighters!
Pepsi-Cola, P-E-P-S-I. That's your smartest cola buy. Pepsi-Cola presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspy. Especially wanted to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight, the case of the Mile High Murders. A thrilling counter-spy report to the American people. Brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday by delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now, another report to the American people. In your family's interest, listen to these findings, recently released by the United States Testing Company, Incorporated. After thorough and impartial tests, Pepsi-Cola proved of highest purity. Pepsi-Cola has more quick food energy and value, ounce for ounce, than any other leading nationally known cola. Yes, tested, compared against all other leading nationally known cola drinks, Pepsi-Cola won out. You get the best and twice as much in delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now to Counterspy.
M5 Havana calling. Easy, George, Able, Nan. M5 Havana calling. Easy, George, Able, Nan.
This is Easy, George, Able, Nan. Come in, M5. Come in.
Important emergency instructions. Repeat emergency. I'm sending boat out to rendezvous point 17, William Richard, which you will pass over in a few minutes. At point 17, William Richard, you will bail out of plane.
M5. What about the merchandise?
Disregard, Butcher.
Now, look, M5, I can't do a thing like that. After all, the cargo.
Cargo must be sacrificed to preserve safety of all concerned.
But maybe we can work it out another way. I don't want to have anything to do with...
This is in order. And final. Switch to automatic pilot for gradual dive and bail out. Did you hear me, Easy George?
Switching to automatic pilot for gradual dive.
That's better.
So bail out, M5. This is Easy George, able man, signing off. Quiet down. Quiet down. I've got bad news for you. I can't smuggle you into the state. Now, you do just as I say, or I'll have to use this gun. All 8 of you, move back in the ship. Back to the tail. That's it, right there. Now, stay right there till I pull this lever. Parachuting out the bomb tank.
Please, have mercy.
Sorry, honest, but I can't help you.
We do not have to be afraid to die, my friend. But if we were as wicked as seasoned man, we should be afraid to leave.
I said I was sorry. That's all I can...
He shot out of the plane. We will be killed. We will all die. We must pray, please, pray. Ave Maria, gratia plena. Dominus tecum. Benedictus tuum.
Keep those birds of yours quiet, especially that stinking vulture.
Since your return to Cuba from your aborted mission, you've not been yourself, Egan.
Those birds screeching that way make me think of those poor refugees in the plane, pleading for their lives. Rosa.
Si, senor Egan.
Give me another drink.
Si, senor.
And hurry up, you fat sow. Egan is anxious to drown his conscience in my best wine.
It's easy for you to talk, Gregor, sitting here in your patio and listening to your crazy birds. You didn't have to dump 8 helpless people into the ocean. Sure, you can sleep at night.
Here is your drink, senor Egan.
Thanks, Rosa.
Egan, in our business, sometimes drastic steps are necessary for self-preservation.
Talk is cheap. You didn't see their faces.
Perhaps, but I see the logic in disposing of them. If you had landed at the field in Florida with that shipment of aliens, you would have been picked up by the police. Would you have preferred that? Of course you would.
All right. But how did the police know about the trip?
Someone dropped a hint to them. Tell him, Ross.
At El Montero Cafe, I was told its light was spotty.
Was anything said about me, Rosa?
No, senor.
By the way, Egan.
Yes?
Rosa also had something else at the Montero Cafe. Something about you. Rosa.
I heard, senor Egan, that when you had delivered some of Senor Gregor's clients safely to the United States, you took money from them. Blackmail money.
That's a rotten lie.
Of course, it's only a rumor.
I don't care what it is. It's still a lie.
It had better be, Egan. For your sake.
You can't frighten me, Gregor, because I've got nothing to hide. I've always been on the up and up with you.
Very well, Egan. Now let's get back to business. We will continue our weekly passenger run from Cuba to Florida.
How can we? The cops are onto us.
We will no longer use a large plane. Temporarily, we will reduce our activities by using the small 5-passenger plane. And from now on, you will not land at our isolated field in Florida. Instead, we will avail ourselves of desolate stretches of beach along the coast.
Nothing's going to stand in the way of your making a fortune. Not even my neck, huh, Gregor?
Nothing, Egan. And least of all, your neck.
Operator, this is Captain Kincaid of the Miami Office Immigration Service. I want to put in a person-to-person call to Mr. David Harding, chief of the Counterspies in Washington.
Hello, Captain Kane. Kid Gage, this is Harding.
Oh, Mr. Harding, on that matter we discussed last week when I was in Washington, an emergency has arisen. We'd appreciate having Counterspy cooperation in this case now.
Anything at all, Captain.
Can you assign one of your Miami agents?
Better than that, Captain. I'm going to give this case my personal supervision. My assistant Harry Peters and I will leave immediately for Miami by jet plane. Go ahead, Captain Gage.
Well, Mr. Harding, this is the obsolete light army bomber I had flown over here to the Miami City airport to illustrate my theory.
Peters and I are very anxious to hear it. Please continue.
Now, this is the way I reconstruct the story. A surplus army bomber, identical with this one, left from an improvised runway outside Havana, Cuba last Friday with 8 aliens aboard. That we're fairly sure of through a contact in Havana.
But the plane never landed here in the States.
No, Mr. Peters. We had it under spotter observation in the Caribbean and suddenly lost it. And it didn't return to its Cuban base either.
What about the aliens?
I'm just getting to that, Mr. Harding. All right, Bob. Mr. Harding, my theory is the Bombay doors were opened like that, and the aliens were forced to jump to their deaths in the Caribbean, thousands of feet below. Mass murder.
Chief, this is about the lowest crime we've ever come across. The absolute lowest. Well, Kincaid, I suppose the smugglers must have been tipped off that their plane was spotted and warned the pilot, maybe by radio, huh?
I figure it the same way, Mr. Harding.
It could be, Chief, that the pilot bailed out and was picked up while the aliens went down with the plane. That's possible, Peters. That would account for the disappearance of the plane. Anyway, let's get started. Havana, our next stop, Chief? Havana next, Peters. With the cooperation of the Cuban police, we're starting on this alien smuggling racket by smuggling ourselves into Havana by speedboat.
Yes?
Senor Gregor, I'm coming to your house. I have something very interesting for you.
What is it, Rosa?
A letter, senor, from people in the United States to people here in Havana. What I told you about Senor Egan is no longer a rumor.
There's the pier ahead, Mr. Harding. Here's the glass. Oh, thank you, Peters.
Well, it looks isolated enough for our purposes.
Good idea, Dave, taking this speedboat instead of a plane. Smugglers probably have their eyes on every airfield in Cuba. There's no doubt about that, Peters. They have a terrific investment to protect.
We know there are thousands of aliens in Cuba, poor devils waiting for the chance to get into the United States. Those who can't get in under the legal quota are willing to pay their last cent to be smuggled in.
Nice game. Traffic in human misery. Dave, have you lined out a modus operandi for us?
Yes. Now, once we're smuggled in, we'll try to get ourselves smuggled out again.
Smuggled out? Dave, they'll know that we're not in.
They'll never catch on to you, Peter.
Uh-oh. Here I go again, huh?
You're still my star actor, Peter.
Okay, let's have it.
Well, by the time we get to Havana, you're going to look and talk like an alien. An alien willing to pay any price to get refuge in the United States.
Good afternoon, Senor Gregor.
The letter, Rosa.
See, the letter. You're anxious to see it, no?
That is it.
Senor Gregor, you are a man of business. Rosa is a woman of business. She is not beautiful. She is not young and thin. So there is nothing left in life for poor Rosa. But money.
Rosa, you've always reminded me of my pet vulture here. The most disgusting of creatures.
You pay me a compliment, Senor Gregor. He is a cunning bird also, eh, Senor?
All right. How much for the letter?
$200.
The longer I know you, the more repulsive you become.
And the more valuable, senor. $200, please.
Here.
Muchas gracias. Here's the...
The pilot made us give him our last dollars when we landed in the United States. We had to do it because if we didn't, he said he would report us to the American government.
You are being cheated, Senor Gregor.
You stupid cow. You think only the money worries me? Letters like this cause trouble. Talk it around. Egan has put my entire business in grave danger.
My knife, senor. For $100, I could use it well.
I don't need you for this. Do not worry, Roger. When the time comes, I will put an end to Egan personally. You see this dish of raw meat? Come with me over to the pool and you will understand quite clearly.
The pool?
My fish pond.
But you do not feed fish beef like this.
Rosa, my fish, you do feed beef like this. Those creatures you see swimming in my pond are piranha fish, a very unusual species from Brazil. Watch what happens when I throw the fish into the water. Now watch.
Like wolves, they make a gap.
They say, Rosa, that a small school of piranha fish can strip a human body of flesh in 4 minutes. An amusing thought, eh, Rosa?
Very amusing.
Observe. The fish seems to be still hungry. See them skimming the surface? Perhaps they should have bigger bait. Huh? What do you think, Rosa? Huh?
In a moment, back to Counterspy, presented by delicious Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola is the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much and better, too.
Yes, twice as much and better, too. You know Pepsi gives you twice as much. You know Pepsi's better, tastes better. But now I want to make sure you know which cola drink is of proven highest quality. Listen.
Impartial tests were made comparing all the leading nationally known colas. And here's the news. Delicious Pepsi was rated tops for quick food energy and honest-to-goodness value, ounce for ounce.
Yes, more value and quick food energy in every tasty sip of Pepsi. That's why Pepsi is so refreshing. Why you feel so good. Why you're on the beat. Why people call Pepsi their favorite treat. When the quality's proof tops and the taste is so delightful, so refreshing that you bubble and the quantity is double. Say, is it any wonder Pepsi's America's big, big favorite? Insist on tasty Pepsi wherever you may be. At the fountain, say, Pepsi, please. At the stand, say, Pepsi, please. And at the store, get Pepsi in the money-saving carton of 6 big bottles. How about getting a carton tonight of delicious Pepsi-Cola?
Delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola.
Now back to Counterspy.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Yeah?
Please, a lighter for my pipe.
Why? Oh, certainly. Here you are.
All clear, Mr. Harding?
All clear, Peters. No one in this section of the park. We can talk right here. How did you make out as Mr. Kovac?
Passed my first test with flying colors, Dave. I registered at the hotel patronized by refugees. I managed to make friends pretty quickly.
Any leads?
One of my new friends advised me that I might get what I wanted if I paid a visit to El Montero Cafe.
El Montero Cafe, huh?
A small native barroom on Del Carro Street. The place is run by a fat, middle-aged woman named Rosa. My friend also said that a visit to Rosa is the first step in making entry into the States.
Rosa must be the contact between the aliens and the smugglers.
Looks that way, Dave.
All right, Peters, or rather, Mr. Kovac, I guess it's time for you to visit this Rosa at El Montero Cafe. See how you make out in your second test.
And what do you want with me, Senor Kovac?
I have come to you for help, Rosa.
Help?
I wish passage to the United States.
To get to the United States, Senor Kovac, one has only to obtain passage on plane or boat. Why come to me?
I was told by friends that you could advise me of the steps necessary to get into the United States without detection by the authorities.
Senor, such a means of entry is dangerous. Illegal. And they say expensive.
I have $25,000.
$25,000. It would be a shame that a gentleman so anxious as you should not get what he wishes. Where are you staying in Cuba, Senor Cuba?
The Hotel Paloma.
Be in your hotel room at 10 tomorrow morning. And American named Egan will call on you and explain the arrangement.
Oh, thank you, Rosa. Thank you. You have no idea how much this means to me.
Then you passed your second test with flying colors, too, huh, Peters?
Guess I did, Dave. And your idea of mentioning $25,000 didn't do any harm. Did you manage to get a line on Egan after I called you earlier?
According to the Cuban police, Egan runs a small passenger plane service between Havana and Miami.
Mm-hmm. That'll be a cover-up for smuggling activities. Anyway, Chief, we'll be able to put an end to Egan's business tomorrow morning.
Oh, Peters, I'm not just interested in Egan and Rosa. It's obvious we can pick them up any time. No, there's somebody else, somebody who's masterminding this operation.
I guess you're right, Dave, but how to get to him?
Well, I'd say that's up to you, and how well you do on your third test, Mr. Kovac.
Yes?
Senor Gregor, this is Rosa.
What is it, Rosa?
I have been looking all over for Egan. He is nowhere to be found.
Egan is here with me, waiting for me out in the patio. I was just about to introduce him to my amusing piranha fish.
But you will need Egan to fly the plane.
I've made arrangements for another pilot. He will be here next week.
But I have for you a client who wishes a trip to the United States now.
The client will wait, Rosa.
But he is willing to pay $25,000.
Oh? Well, Rosa, that is it different, huh? It is fortunate you did not call me a few minutes late.
I made arrangements with the client for Egan to be at his hotel tomorrow morning at 10.
Very well, Rosa. Egan will be there. I will apologize to my piranha fish for the postponement.
There will be no postponement, Mr. Egan.
Don't you worry about that, Kovac. You show up tonight in the back room at El Montero Cafe with the $25,000. And by this time tomorrow, you'll be safe and snug in the USA.
United States of America. I can hardly wait. Mr. Egan, I'm so grateful to you for... excuse me, please. Hello?
Senor Kovac, this is Rosa. Is Senor Egan there?
Oh, yes, he is. Senor Egan, it is Rosa. She wishes to speak with you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Rosa?
There is trouble. Do not betray yourself with words or looks.
Sure, Rosa. Go ahead.
A friend was just here in El Montero and told me about Senor Kovac. This morning at the hotel, there he saw the man who visited Kovac. The visitor was David Harding of the United States Counterspy.
What? Thanks for telling me, Rosa. Thanks very much.
You seem troubled, Mr. Egan. Did Rosa have bad news?
Not exactly, Kovac. coming like it did now, in a way, it was good news.
Then everything will go as she arranged it.
Well, there'll be just one thing. My arm! You're trying to get out of this grip. More, it's going to hurt. I do not understand. Why are you doing this? I'll explain just as soon as I get this gun out of your shoulder holster. All right, now. Get back. Up against that wall.
What is the meaning of this?
You can drop the axe. Rosa phoned to tell me about some information she got on your visitor here this morning. Harding of the Counterspy. What do you got to say to yourself now?
Just one thing, Egan. If you're smart, you'll drop that gun and give yourself up.
You think I'm crazy, Kovac?
Just to set you straight, the name is Peters.
A Counterspy, too.
That's right, Egan.
So you want me to give myself over to you, that it?
It might go easier on you. If you do get away now, Egan, I'll get you anyway. I'll hound you till I get you.
That's where you're wrong, Peters. Your hounding days are over. I'm getting out of here. But you're not.
You fool, Egan. Murdering a Counterspy, you stupid, idiotic fool.
What do you expect me to do, Gregor? Let him take me in?
This will ruin everything.
So I'll lay low where they won't find me.
Don't you realize now the Counterspies will find you wherever you go? They won't rest until you're captured.
I thought you were so smart, Gregor. I thought you had a way of handling everything.
Of course. There's a way of handling this. Now that you're here, I have nothing to worry about.
What? What's the idea of that gun?
The idea, Egan, is self-preservation. If you were ever captured, you would blurt out my part in the smuggling business.
No, Gregor. You can trust me.
I had intended to rid myself of you last night. You were saved by the fat, disgusting swine, Rosa. Now I'll take up where I left off.
Gregor, please. Wait. Don't.
I'm not going to shoot, Egan. Huh? I'm just taking you to the edge of the pool over there. Then I'll leave it to my piranha fish to destroy all evidence of your being. Now, Egan, you will commence walking through the...
Buonasera, Senor.
Rosa, you threw that knife into Gregor.
Si.
But why? You were on his side.
That you do not understand how a woman feels to be talked to the way Senor Gregor always talked to me. I am not so young, nor am I so beautiful. I am not so fat, so disgusting as he said. I have been waiting for such an opportunity as this to answer Senor Gregor.
Hey, he's still alive.
See, I meant it so. I aimed my knife so that he should not die so easily, so painlessly.
I'll get his gun and finish him off.
Wait! Do not fire that gun.
But I have
to planned for him the death he planned for you. We will feed him to his cannibal fish, Senor Egan.
In the pond? Now, look, Rosa, I can't...
I have saved your life. You will do as I wish, no?
Okay. Guess I owe it to you.
You can drag him across the patio by the feet.
Yeah.
Even a woman such as I has feelings. He should not have choked me that way.
Stop where you are. What? Don't move. Keep him covered, Peters.
Got him, Mr. Harding.
Peters?
Senor Kovac, you're alive.
Sorry to disappoint you two.
Can't be. I fired 2 shots into you.
Those were blanks in Peter's gun, Egan. They were in there waiting for you to use them.
Egan, give it a drink.
That's right, Rosa. It was a member of the Cuban secret police who informed you that I'd visited Kovac's room. We wanted you to tip off Egan so he would lead us to the head smuggler.
Here we are, thanks to those blanks.
Okay, but the slugs in this gun aren't blank.
Drop that gun, Egan. You don't have a chance.
I got nothing to lose. I'm making a try.
Stop, Egan.
All right, Peters, let it happen.
Peters, that end it? Yes, Chief. Nobody can live with those piranha fish. You can call the Cuban police now. Tell them to come out for Rosa and Gregor. Then we'll fly back home.
them now. Enjoy that bubbling, tangy, tasty treat. Sure hits the spot. At parties, it's a wonderful idea to serve delicious Pepsi. That extra quick food energy gives folks that bounce, that zing. And Pepsi's big 12-ounce bottles go twice as far. You get a carton of 6 bottles, and you serve 12 full-size drinks. So save that money, get the best, and get twice as much in delicious Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola, it's the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much and better, too. Pepsi-Cola is the drink for you.
That's it, delicious Pepsi-Cola. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen on Thursday for the exciting Case of the Hoodlum's Hero on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Leonard L. Bass, dramatized by Edward Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer, with music by Jesse Crawford. This is Jay Jackson speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some delicious Pepsi tonight. Phillips H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some delicious Pepsi.
The thick fog that clung to Los Angeles made searching for the girl who was going to kill herself slow and uneasy. But in the end, I'd have settled for that and more, because murder happened twice before I found the lady in Mink.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Lady in Mink.
By Pacific Coast time, it was only 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But the dense, billowing fog that was heavy over everything, like a huge, thick hand, said it could be midnight. And Los Angeles could be London in May, December. So when I got out of my car and walked toward the fuzz of red neon that marked the hotel cocktail lounge where I was to meet my new client, Grace Tyler, I felt all alone and a little sorry that I wasn't in some nice, cozy 9-to-5 business that would leave me heading for home now. And maybe an evening with people who like to laugh. But when I was inside the lounge, which was imitation hunting lodge and friendly, I perked up some. My client was young and almost pretty, with dark, shingled hair dressed in somber gray, and wore not enough makeup. Her eyes were swollen and red from crying. When I introduced myself, she tried to come right to the point.
Mr. Marlowe, I have to find my sister.
Oh, take it easy, honey. That won't do it. Who is your sister?
Sorry.
It's all right.
Her name is June Drake, Mr. Marlowe, and she's in trouble. I got this letter from her. Here.
No. Trapped, no way out, take my own life. Hateful people, this is to say goodbye. Who's this Melnick she mentions? Do you know him, Mrs. Tyler?
No, I never heard the name Melnick before. I'm Miss Tyler.
Oh.
My sister was the married one, Mr. Marlowe. Her husband was Stu Drake. He died a few years ago.
I see. Have you been to the police with this?
No, because, well, you see, Mr. Marlowe, June she's different. More full of fun than I am, and, well, she gets around, and sometimes with strange people, dangerous ones.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Grace, what does your sister look like?
Well, she's about my height. Has long red hair, and she's pretty, Mr. Marlowe. Very pretty.
Aside from her looks, anything else? Car, clothes?
Clothes, yes, definitely. She always dresses well, except that she's overly fond of furs. Most of the time she wears a mink stole.
Stole, huh? Kind of a cape?
Yes, it is.
I see.
June has an apartment in Beverly Hills, Mr. Marlowe. 3300 Rexford Drive. I went there, but it was locked. The neighbor says she left for New York a week ago, and yet I...
Yet she couldn't have because this letter was mailed here in town only yesterday. Is that it?
Yes. Oh, please, Mr. Marlowe, do something. Here's $50. I'll pay more if only you'll hurry.
No, that'll do it. Where can I get in touch with you, Grace?
I'm staying here at the Beverly Crest Hotel. I don't live in Los Angeles.
Well, as a starter, I think I'll try number 3300 Rexford Drive. I'll call you later. Goodbye, Grace. Outside, the fog felt about the same. But there was more of it, so I was 15 minutes getting to June Drake's apartment, which was a ground floor arrangement. Arty and about the size and shape of the ale bowl. I was only half that time outsmarting the cheap lock on the back door, drawing all the blinds shut inside, and turning on a single light. But then I was no place. There were clothes in the closets, prettier ones in the bureau drawers, and it went on like that for 45 more minutes. Everything just as it should be and no lead, until I was ready to leave. Then on a coffee table, I saw something that stood out in that nest for the idle rich like an ear-to-ear grin on an undertaker. It was a book of matches advertising Duke Gray's Billiard Academy, 3rd and Main, where particular pool players congregate. That and the name Melnick had to dovetail or I was licked. The next hour was a lucky one. I found the Duke himself, who both knew and despised Melnick, whom he described as a hardly ever sober dirty word, front name Frank, who lived 3rd floor rear at the Palace Arms, a tired walk-up also on Main Street. So at exactly 9 o'clock, I walked the length of a filthy corridor, stopped and knocked the knuckles on my right hand almost raw before the door inched open, and a pair of shifty eyes and a puffy, pasty face blinked out at me.
Yeah? What do you want?
If you're Frank Melnick, conversation.
I'm not dressed for it, honest.
This isn't a social call. Mr. Melnick!
Hey, what do you think you're doing, shoving your way into my room? Who do you think you are?
Name's Marlowe. I'm looking for June Drake.
I don't know any June Drake, honest.
You don't convince me, Melnick. Now shake the fuzz off your brain and start remembering, or you'll find yourself in trouble up to your eyebrows.
Okay, I know her.
When'd you last see her?
3 weeks ago. Maybe a month ago. But she's an acquaintance from my hometown, that's all, honest.
You're a liar. June Drake would brush you off like a piece of lint, and you know it.
Listen, I'm as good as she is any day. Don't forget that.
Get your hands off me, Melnick.
Now, get out of here. Go on.
I told you once, Melnick, let go! Okay, now start talking. Give it to me straight the first time or I'll get real mad. Come on, get up!
Okay. There's a guy named Jaffe, Hugh Jaffe. He's June's boyfriend. That's all I know. Honest.
All right. What's this stuff, these clippings and these pictures here?
I used to be a photographer. Honest.
Until your lens got bloodshot, huh?
Yeah, on the Salinas Herald Star.
All right, Melnick. What's Hugh Jaffe's address?
It's 2001 North Beechwood Drive.
Thanks, I'll try it. But if you're not telling me the truth, Melnick, I'll be back. Honest.
Yes? You want what, senor?
Mr. Hugh Jaffe.
He is not here. I am Margarita Jaffe, his wife. What do you want with him?
A few words, Mrs. Jaffe. Do you expect him soon?
Since he does not live here anymore, no.
Oh. You and Hugh are divorced, eh? I didn't know that.
And I did not say that. Now, what are you looking for?
June Drake.
What do you want to know about that?
I want to know where that is. Can you help me?
No, I cannot. I do not know and I do not care. But when you find her, senor, I hope you find her dead.
If I'd have followed the approved technique, I'd have lost a leg on the lady's threshold. And I was about to lean on the doorbell again to try once more for an address on Mr. Hugh Jaffe when I saw I didn't need to, because stuck over the mailbox was a letter forwarded to him at 41 Peacock Lane, Brentwood, California, which was a half-hour drive due west of Hollywood. 30 fog-filled minutes later, Hugh Jaffe and I exchanged introductions, and I stated my purpose. Then I stumbled behind him through a 2-inch thick rug that ended in an oak-panel library, where he cigared me, then settled back and waited. We looked at each other until it became embarrassing. Then he opened.
Marlowe, I wish I could help you, but I haven't seen or heard of June Drake in over 3 weeks.
Well, I was under the impression that you two were on closer terms, Mr. Jaffe, if you don't mind my mentioning it.
Not at all. He used to be, but all that's changed now. She was too expensive for me. A lovely creature, but terribly vain.
Now that she's out of the picture, you're going back to your wife.
No, I'm not. Frankly, Marlowe, my, shall I say, infatuation for June has completely destroyed everything Margarita and I ever had.
Which I suppose makes divorce the next step?
Sure, I wish it were that easy. She refuses to give me a divorce, Marlowe. Her way of striking back.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. I had a brief chat with Mrs. Jaffe myself. Well, if you hear from June, get in touch with me, will you? I'll appreciate it.
Of course. I'll be happy to help in any way I can. And please, Marlowe, call me if you find her, hmm? The number here is Crestview 89122.
Yeah, I'll remember it. Even if I find her dead.
Dead? What do you mean? Why that?
Well, from where I stand, Mr. Jaffe, June Drake is dynamite. And that stuff can blow up right in your face, huh? When you least expect it. Good night. Sure, it was double talk, but sometimes swinging wide and praying for a lucky punch beats waiting in your corner. Besides, that was as far as I could go in the book of matches. So after slowly walking a block through the chilling fog, I found a phone, called my client, and brought her up to date on the Jaffe Triangle, and my own contention that if June Drake didn't try actually to kill herself, Senora Margarita Jaffe might. That Grace wouldn't buy.
No, Mr. Marlowe, I can't believe that.
Well, maybe you just don't want to. But either way, there's still Frank Melnick. We've already met Grace, and believe me, he's got all the charm of a Black Widow spider.
What does this Melnick do, Mr. Marlowe? I mean, what work?
Yeah, he's a drunk. He used to be a photographer for some paper, the Salinas Herald Star.
Salinas?
Yeah.
Why, Mr. Marlowe, June used to live in Salinas when she was married to Stu Drake.
You sure, Grace?
Positive.
Grace, how did June's husband die?
Stu?
Yeah.
He was killed in a car wreck. Drove it over a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
June just got out in time. Nobody knew exactly how it happened. It was a terrible accident.
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe, Phil?
But you might as well face it, honey, because the chances are slim that that's the whole story.
What?
Look, Grace, suppose something else happened, like June being responsible for Stu's death.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and Melnick the photographer with a picture to prove it. You know, a small case of blackmail.
Oh, no, Phil, you're wrong. She wouldn't kill, I know that.
Okay, she's your sister, honey. I'll do the dirty guesswork for both of us until we get some proof. And right now, that makes back to the hacienda of one Senora Jaffe my best bet. Because the lady there is both jealous and hot-tempered, a daily double that always runs in the money. So long, baby. When I got back to my car and pointed it at 2001 North Beechwood Drive again, I was feeling pretty low because no matter which way I added things, June Drake always came out a minus, which wasn't good. For sometimes Lady had a real sweet sister. But then I told myself it was still the fog making the good look better and the bad worse, and to concentrate on my driving and the facts I had to go on. When I did just that, I took my foot off the accelerator and slammed it down onto the brake hard. It had suddenly occurred to me that I was going the wrong way. Because if I was right about Frank Melnick being a blackmailer and June Drake a killer, the Senora would keep a lot longer than the drinking man in the Palace Arms, third floor, rear. I was only 3/4 of an hour getting back down to Main Street, but even as I started up the foul-smelling rickety stairs, a small voice inside kept telling me that I was too late. But a second later, as I moved quietly toward Melnick's door, two other voices, not so small and coming from the room in question, said otherwise. Said that Melnick was still around and as healthy as ever. But better than that his guest was the lady my client was paying me to find. A lady named June Drake. All of which made this a good time for my right hand and the .38 in my pocket to get together while I listened carefully. Then moved closer until I was next to the door. Oh, an empty gin bottle.
What was that? I don't know. Outside in the hall.
Open up, Melnick, before I blast my way in. Come on.
Marlowe, get out of here. Okay, wise guy, wait a minute.
For what? The lady's exodus. I warned you, Melnick. Get back.
Hey, what's the matter with you? What are you doing?
Looking for June Drake, remember? Now, where is she?
What are you talking about? I'm alone in here.
Yeah? You always talk to yourself in a high voice, don't you? That window to the fire escape there is always open on foggy nights, too, isn't it? Listen, smart guy, I want to know where she... Hey, wait a minute, this Mink stole here. Maybe it doesn't matter where she went. Maybe she'll be back after she thinks I'm gone.
I don't think so. You see, mister, June Drake never left. She's right behind you, stupid.
Yes.
Oh!
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, you'll find both pleasure and a chance for profit when you listen to Sing It Again, CBS's hour-long Saturday night cavalcade of melody, riddles, and prizes. Your chance for the greatest prize in radio, $53,000. When Sing It Again comes your way over most of these same CBS network stations later tonight, be sure you're listening. 53,000. It might be yours. Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Lady in Mink.
Maybe June Drake had used the spiked heel of a shoe, maybe the butt of a pistol, but either way, it didn't matter because on the way to the floor, I'd bounced once off the sharp corner of an end table, and this was why all the lights in the world had gone out for me at once. Hours they blinked on again one at a time, and I dragged myself hand over hand along the length of an iron bedpost until I was standing. I saw there was blood oozing from a cut on the right side of my face. But as the two rooms focused into one again, I forgot about the slightly battered Marlowe and concentrated instead on an open newspaper lying at my feet. Because written across it with an eyebrow pencil in firm but feminine hand were the words, "Grace, call off your private detective. It's too late to help me. I'm near the end. But before I go, I'm going to take the two people with me who have wrecked my life. Goodbye, June." At that, I started for the door and a hall phone to call the police. But then I stopped. Conscious for the first time of the half-circle of hushed, gaping faces in bathrobes that stood in the doorway. The gaping faces that weren't turned toward me, but over to a shadowed corner where, face down in a pool of his own blood, was the dead form of Frank Melnick. In the middle of his back, an ice pick, red to the hilt.
Barra's office. Sergeant Mooney speaking.
Marlowe, Mooney, where's Ibarra?
He had to go out of town.
Oh. Well, look, Mooney, I'm at a place called the Palace Arms on Main near 4th. 3rd floor rear. There's a man named Frank Melnick with an ice pick in his back. Very dead.
Know who he is, Marlowe?
Yeah, an ex-newspaper photographer. A drunk and, I think, a blackmailer in reverse order.
Any idea who did it?
Uh-huh. One June Drake. A red-headed lady in Mink who's out to kill herself just as soon as she tidies up her affairs a bit, which I think includes killing again. So if you put out a call for her, the Mink, by the way, is a cape. The lady, young and about 5'6". I'll try to get to what I think is our next stop before she does. Call you later. When I got through to my client and broke the news, she gasped and kept repeating no in a small, strained voice that kicked at the lining of my insides no matter how fast I talked. So in one breath, I told her that I was going first for Margarita Jaffe, then her husband, either of whom could be next on June Drake's final agenda. Then I gave her the Crestview phone number that Hugh Jaffe had given me. Told her to call me there in an hour, hung up and ran for my car in 2001, North Beechwood Drive. Feeling punk. It was a minute better than midnight when I got there, and it was 10 wet, dripping minutes more before the door finally opened. A hatchet-faced housekeeper with a stocking on her head said that Mrs. Jaffe had left a half hour ago, saying something about meeting a woman. And the housekeeper would have said more, but I was already back in my car heading for Brentwood in number 41, Peacock Lane. There, the Oriental houseboy said the boss man was busy playing poker in the den. And something stronger than Esperanto, I made it clear that my business was more important. A minute later, a door opened on the far side of the room.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Well, aren't you working a little late tonight, Marlowe?
Murder isn't always done during office hours, Mr. Jaffe.
Murder?
Yeah, with an ice pick at that. Tell me, have you heard from your wife or June Drake tonight?
No, of course not. Why do you ask?
Because June Drake just killed a man named Melnick.
Killed a man? What?
That's what, Mr. Jaffe?
That's hard to believe.
Why? Because it was a man? What were you expecting?
Don't be absurd, Marlowe. I was expecting nothing like this at all. It's a shock to me. Yeah, excuse me. I'll take it myself, Jung, in the dining room. Be with you in a minute, Marlowe.
All right, Mr. Jaffe. Make it fast, will you? Love to listen on telephone.
Joan, listen to me. You don't know much... Wait a minute. The private detective here, I think, is listening in on the extension.
It doesn't matter anymore. Nobody can stop me now, Hugh. I'm leaving tonight. I only called to let you know that you don't have to worry anymore, that I won't be any...
Never mind that. Where are you, June? Tell me.
I'm out in Santa Ocean Way Hotel. But don't try to do anything, Hugh. It's too late. Much too late. Goodbye.
Pretty talkative.
Marlowe, you heard that, didn't you?
Yeah, I heard it all right. You heard that, too, didn't you? I didn't like it, Jeffy, so... Oh, don't bother. This one's mine. I'm expecting it. Hello?
Hello, I wanted... Oh, is that you, Marlowe?
Yeah. Look, Grace, your sister just called and... Well, it doesn't look too good, honey.
Oh, Grace called here. Oh, but Phil, where is she? Do you know? Is she all right?
No, she isn't Grace. Any way you look at it. Now, tell me, where are you?
At my place, the Beverly Crest Hotel.
All right, now stay there. I'll talk to you as soon as I can, Grace. Goodbye.
But where are you going?
Thanks for your cooperation, Jeffy. It's been a lot of help. I'll also talk to you as soon as I can. Believe me. When I got outside, piled into my car, and took off, I didn't know if I was racing to keep a mixed-up girl from committing suicide or going after a murderer who was scheduled to kill again. I was 20 precious minutes following the wriggle at Sunset Boulevard from Brentwood to Santa Monica, where it hits into US 101 that parallels the Pacific. And out there with the fog even thicker, I was 20 minutes again finding the Ocean Way Hotel. The landlady there was a fat henna blonde with a mouthful of gold and foul language. She said that she never heard of a June Drake until I lied that I was an L.A. cop and described the girl as a lot of red hair flowing over a mink stole who could be using any name. Then she told me that what I called June had just been a woman visitor a little while ago. At that, we started down a short corridor to a rented room, fast.
I wouldn't do this for no one but a cop. Brother, believe me, we both better be talking about the same girl. Raising a fuss at this hour tonight. It's the room there.
No light on. I thought you said she had a visitor.
Maybe the visitor went home. What do you expect? 2 o'clock in the morning.
Not a peep. Come on, open it up.
Open it up. Now it tells me. Ain't got my keys. They're over on the other side in my room.
Okay, then we'll get in the hard way.
You cut it out. You'll bust my door.
Take it easy, Blondie. You're in for a shock. Okay, turn the lights on.
Oh. That's the woman that visited her.
Yeah. Spanish woman known as Margarita Jaffe. Ice pick and all.
I better get a little air over here by the window. I don't feel so good.
Yeah, and I better get to a phone and... Hey, there's a cigarette over there. It's still smoldering. She may not be very far away.
Brother, you said a mouthful. Come here and look.
What is it? What do you see?
Right there. Near the pier under that street lamp. Ain't that the one you're after?
Where? Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Red hair and mink stolen
She's seen
footage.
us.
Right out to the end of the pier.
She's running.
Call the cops. Blondie, sit tight. I'll see you later. By the time I got out to the street and across the way we'd seen her, she was already out onto the pier. I caught one glimpse of her red hair and then nothing but the fog that swallowed her up like she was made of smoke. I ran toward the spot where she had disappeared and tried to yell over the crash of the waves for her to come back. When I heard it... After that, things happened fast. From somewhere, the cop on the beat, then Blondie, then a couple of scared kids who'd been necking in a car, and then more.
I knew it. Oh, I knew it. I saw her pass me a couple of minutes ago. Dressed too nice. I should have stopped her.
Mr. Chijump?
Yeah. Officer, shine your light over there, will you? I thought I saw something move.
Okay, but in this fog, we won't be able to see much. Besides, with those waves and the undertow around here, she hasn't got a chance.
Maybe not. You never can tell. Hey, move the light over a little. To your left. Yeah, that's it. There on the piling.
I don't see nothing there. Just a greasy pole. Here, look. On that cross piece near the waterline on the piling. Was that hers?
Yeah, that was hers, all right.
What is it, mister?
That Blondie's a very valuable fur. A stole made of mink. I never could figure where people came from at 3 o'clock in the morning when something nasty happened. But they always do. Some come to help, some just to stare, and others maybe to see if they can take it. An hour after I'd heard June Drake scream, we'd found nothing but the stole. I couldn't take any more. Maybe it was still the fog. Maybe it was the thought that in a hotel room up in Beverly Hills, a sweet kid named Grace Tyler was waiting to hear from me, and I knew that sooner or later I had to call her. I lit a cigarette and started to walk across the Ocean Way to the nearest phone. But then, just as I was about to enter the hotel lobby, I stopped and slowly turned back toward the pier in the swirling cloak of ocean-covering fog. A crazy thought seeping into my mind like an ever-widening circle of ink into a white blotter. Until finally there was nothing but dark. I made my call to Grace and told her to get downstairs into a taxi and over to police headquarters where we had a long story to tell. An hour later, we were sitting in Ibarra's office, and Sergeant Mooney knew what had happened from the time I had first met Grace at 5 o'clock that afternoon.
Well, Marlowe, looks like June Drake meant what she said in that note. She took care of Melnick, Mrs. Jaffe, and then herself. Did they recover the body before you left?
No, Sergeant, they didn't. And I don't think they will.
You mean the undertow?
No, I don't. I mean something a little more treacherous.
What are you saying, Phil?
That this whole thing was a frame, Grace. The interested parties, Hugh Jaffe and your sister, June. The object, get rid of the difficult Mrs. Jaffe. The means, have June Drake kill her without keeping her intentions much of a secret, and then have June Drake pretend to kill herself. The result? The police never bother looking for June Drake, and when all is forgotten, June and Hugh Jaffe get together in some other city under some other name.
Oh, no. No, Phil, I don't believe that. I don't believe any of this. I can't. I won't. I don't see...
Hold it, please, Miss Tyler.
I'm sorry.
Go on, Phil.
Well, this part's a guess at the moment, but I think it'll hang together. Mrs. Jaffe wouldn't give Hugh a divorce.
Jealousy?
Yeah, that and one idiosyncrasy. The Senora was crazy about money, and since he was doing the running around, a divorce would cost him much more than he was willing to pay.
Which means that although Miss Tyler here hired you, you fell into the stellar role of the patsy, star witness. It would always be close enough to later tell a story they wanted told, but never close enough to actually catch June Drake, who has already murdered twice tonight.
Right.
Then, Marlowe, big question. Where is June Drake now?
That is something I worked on all night. I almost had the answer once. I almost caught June at Melnick's flat in the Palace Arms because I surprised her. She thought I was going to Mrs. Jaffe's house at the time, but I changed my mind. Remember, Grace?
What?
Oh, you must remember, baby. You were there. You're June Drake.
Well, Phil, now that we've picked up Hugh Jaffe and it's all over, I still don't see how you actually knew that Grace Tyler and June Drake were one and the same.
I was lucky, Mooney. When Grace called me at Hugh Jaffe's house right after she called as June, I heard a bellboy in the background over the phone. But I didn't think much about it at the time. Yet Grace claimed to be at her hotel in Beverly Hills. It wasn't until I began to think of the whole thing as a frame that everything fell into place. The clues planted so I couldn't miss them all the way down the line. The book of matches, the mink, the red hair was a fall. And another thing, Mooney. Hugh Jaffe was much too surprised when I told him that June Drake had killed Melnick, a man. He expected the murder of his wife, Margarita.
Well, why did June kill Frank Melnick?
Because he was blackmailing her. You see, Melnick knew that June had murdered her first husband. June was stuck. She couldn't let her future husband know what had happened to her past one. So she included him in as victim number 2. Besides, that's the only final payment she can ever make to a blackmailer.
Mm-hmm. Then, Marlowe, June Drake is the real person. There never actually was a sister named Grace Tyler, was there?
No. No, I guess there never was a Grace Tyler. Ever. Good night, Sergeant. Outside, it was that strange time, between the end of one night and the beginning of the day that follows. When I looked up, I could see that the thick, heavy fog that had been with me ever since I'd first met the woman called Grace Tyler was lifting, breaking apart, so that here and there it was only thin, spiraling wisps above which there was the pale, gray promise of a nice tomorrow. As I walked along, it seemed to me that there was less and less fog, until by the time I'd gone a few blocks, I was sure that I could feel fresh air, cold against my face, and clean. I figured I might walk until the sun came up.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, created by Raymond Chandler, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Lynn Allen, Lillian Baeff, Edgar Barrier, Whitfield Connor, Ann Morrison, Lou Krugman, and Jimmy Eagles. The special music is by Richard O'Runt. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
An iron skull was their trademark. Their business was climbing walls, and it was all done on wheels at 70 miles an hour. But that was a cinch for the death cheaters until they felt murder with a feminine touch.
Sunday is a day when CBS brings you the tops in comedy, but it's also a day when you'll find big-hearted Danny Clover patrolling the Great White Way. Broadway is my beat, says Danny Clover, and every Sunday he brings you a new adventure along the main stem. On CBS Sundays, you'll also find Dashiell Hammett's one and only Sam Spade cutting another of his famous capers. Broadway is my beat, and The Adventures of Sam Spade are regular Sunday features on most of these same CBS network stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
In cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States, Gangbusters!
One 52-year-old man with heavy eyebrows and broad nose, whose hobbies are wrestling and portrait painting, or to follow on Gangbusters Clues.
Gangbusters, the only national program that brings you authentic police case histories, has asked John J. Sullivan, former Deputy Commissioner and Chief of Detectives, Police Department, City of New York, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Commissioner Sullivan.
Thank you, and good evening, Gangbusters listeners. Years of experience have taught police officers one useful factor about criminals. When more than one person is involved in a given crime, the chances of solving that crime increases. Tonight's case involves more than one criminal. It began at 11:40 p.m., the evening of June 15th, 1953. Two men had just left a waterfront bar on New York's West Street and were walking through a deserted side street.
I'm still worried about it, soldier. I think you're making a big mistake.
Now, look, it's over 6 months now. Everybody has forgotten, including the cops, so you'll forget it.
It is not so.
Look, now, did the soldier ever steer you wrong?
Did I? No.
Well, and you listen to me, you stop worrying, huh? Okay? Here it is. What do you think, huh? Latest model with all the extras, including tubeless tires. Nothing too good for the soldier, huh? What do you think?
A car like that costs a lot of money, soldier. I thought we were going to wait a year before we spend any of it.
6 months is long enough. You worry too much. Come on, I'll give you a lift home.
No, I walk.
What's the matter? You even too worried to ride it?
Well, it's a nice night. I walk.
Okay, kid. You'll be around at the gym tomorrow.
Oh, sure, soldier. I'll be there.
I really got it this time. This time we're going to make it right back up to the top.
Sure, soldier.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Carlos La Jolla continued on foot down the block. The district through which he walked consisted of small stores, junk shops, and some boarded-up, dilapidated tenements. They were closed and the street empty, except for a black sedan that came slowly towards him and stopped by the curb. You honking for me, mister? You want me? Oh! Help! Help me! Somebody, please help me. A shooting with no witnesses. A start from scratch. A local sector car on routine patrol discovered the wounded man on the sidewalk. An ambulance was called. Detectives Fred Bryan and Harry Gomez of the homicide detail took over from there. They went first to the hospital to talk to the injured man.
No identification?
No, nothing, Harry. Room's down this corridor.
Doctor says it's okay to see him. Then we don't even know his name. Oh, yes, we do. Before they wheel him into emergency, he managed to get that much out. His name is Carlos La Jolla, Lajoya. Gave his address as Dutton Street. I'm having Greenbaum check that. Report I got before coming down here said 2 shots. Yeah, that's right. One in the shoulder, the other, the main one through the right lung. Slugs are on the way to ballistics right now. How's he doing? Not good. Doctor doesn't give him long. Well, this is a good room, Harry. 318. He's calling for his mother. Carlos, we're trying to locate your mother now. Carlos, do you know who did this to you?
No.
Can you tell us anything that would help?
Only one thing. The soldier.
Go on, Carlos. The soldier. What about him? The soldier is someone you know?
See.
A friend?
See. My friend.
Carlos, what's his name? His full name?
Tell the soldier. Tell him before it is too late.
Go on, Carlos. Now try to finish. Better tell the doctor to come in, Harry. And the priest, too. Carlos La Jolla never finished. All Detectives Bryan and Gomez knew was that La Jolla wanted to send a message to a man named the Soldier. With that slim information, they returned to headquarters, where Gomez proceeded to make a thorough check of the identification files. Other checks were set in motion to develop information on the dead man. Later, Gomez joined Bryan in the ballistics lab, where tests were being made on the slugs taken from La Jolla's body. Here's the card on La Jolla. Yeah, what does it show, Harry? 2 arrests for petty larceny, 1 conviction. He was 18 then. Was given a suspended sentence and put into the custody of his mother. Father deserted the mother in 1934. Mrs. La Jolla brought her son to New York in 1935.
Bryan, Gomez.
What'd you find, Gordon?
Something really surprising.
Oh, like what?
Come over here to the table, see for yourself in the microscope.
Yeah.
Go on, have a look. Slug on the left is the one taken from La Jolla's lung.
Uh-huh.
As you can see, it matches the slug on the right perfectly.
Well, that should prove that both shots fired into La Jolla were from the same gun.
Yeah, we proved that right away. That slug on the right wasn't taken from La Jolla's body.
What do you mean?
I mean that slug on the right has been on file here for a long time.
Huh?
It was taken from the body of the night watchman who was killed in the Cuffley tooling plant payroll robbery last November. What do you make of that?
Over 7 months had passed since 3 unidentified men had robbed the payroll of the Cuffley Tool Manufacturing Company, an outfit occupying a 4-story loft-type building near New York's Market District. Detectives Bryan and Gomez dug out the file on the Cuffley holdup and discovered that the night watchman had been found dead, a bullet through his back. A bullet was the only connection between the murder of Carlos La Jolla, a murder seemingly without a motive as yet, and the $43,000 tool company robbery. They continued trying to put the pieces together. The next step was to visit La Jolla's mother to find out what they could about her son. They found her rocking in the combination kitchen-living room of a cold water flat on Dutton Street.
Los ojos están secos. Ojalá que las lágrimas vinieran.
What's she saying? She says the eyes are dry. Would that the tears would come.
Ni dinero, ni salud, ni felicidad. Solamente mi hijo. Y ahora ni él tampoco.
She says she had nothing, only her son, and now he's gone. Yeah. Ask her about the soldier. Señora, ¿conoce a alguien que es soldado?
Se llama Eric Soldado.
¿Un amigo de su hijo?
Sí, un amigo.
He calls himself the soldier. He was a friend of her son's.
Solamente un apodo. Está loco por golpear otros hombres.
What'd she say then? He likes to beat people.
Pelea allá en la arena con otro hombre. Se combaten para ganar dinero.
When he fights in the arena with another man, they beat each other for money. Oh, prize fighter, yeah. Soldier's a common enough nickname for thugs.
Toda mi vida. Toda mi vida enseñé a mi hijo a ser bueno. No hacer daño a otro.
All my life I taught my son to be good and not to hurt others. Look, Harry, you want to stay around here with her for a while? Yeah, sure. When she calms down, maybe she can give you some sort of description of this soldier character. Try that anyway. Where'll I catch up to you? Well, I'll be at the Cuffley troop, man. I'm sorry, Mrs. La Jolla. I'm very sorry, man. I'm afraid she doesn't understand.
The office of the Cuffley plant was on the ground floor and separated from the factory portion by some grimy, thin partitions. A telephone operator doubled as a receptionist. She wore a large diamond ring, and a mink stole was thrown around her shoulders.
Excuse me, miss. My name is Brian. I'd like to see Mr. Cuffley, please.
You have an appointment with Miss Cuffley?
Well, I'm a detective, homicide squad.
Homicide? Oh, you don't look like a policeman. Oh, what's it all about?
Well, look, lady, I asked to see Mr. Cuffley.
You're not very friendly, are you? Just a minute.
Yes, what is it?
There's a Detective Brian here to see you.
Detective?
What he says.
All right. Tell him I'll be with him in a minute or two.
He'll be with you.
In a minute or two, thanks.
I'll keep you company in the meantime. What are you staring at?
Well, I was just admiring that diamond ring you're wearing. It's quite a stone.
Oh, that. Oh, Mr. Cuffley gave it to me. The mink stole, too.
Nice Christmas bonus from the boss, huh?
A gift from my husband. I'm Mrs. Cuffley. You see, the regular girl's on an errand. I'm just sitting here.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Cuffley. I guess I stepped out of line.
Well, you don't hear me complaining, do you? And the first name's Ruth. You can call me by my first name.
Why?
Oh, you're not too friendly, are you?
Well, I'm just a little tired to be a clever conversationalist. You see, I haven't had any sleep lately.
Working, I presume.
Working.
You know what they say about all work and no play.
Yeah, I like it to be all work.
Oh, you expect me to believe that?
Look, Mrs. Cuffley, I came here to see your husband.
Well, is that any reason you can't be friendly? I always thought a police officer was a servant of the people. You know, I might have to call on you sometime for help.
Yeah, any phone operator will give you the number.
I mean your home number.
Well, you have to ask my wife.
Will you come in now, Miss Bryant?
Yeah.
Nice talking to you, Miss Bryant.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right. Your wife thought the wait wasn't too dull, Mr. Cuffley.
Oh, sit down.
Thank you.
I want to rush you, Lieutenant, but I'm very busy today.
Well, I won't take up too much of your time, sir. It's about the payroll robbery you had here.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
That robbery was 6 months ago. We've pretty well written it off by now.
Well, we haven't. According to the records, your night watchman was murdered and $43,000 stolen. How do you write that off?
Look, Brian, how long is this going to keep up? Every time I get settled down to work, another cop comes in here, starts asking questions, disturbing our routine, upsetting my employees. You fellows have had 6 months. You haven't come up with a thing. 6 months you've been bothering us. Now, why don't you leave us alone?
Mr. Cuffley, can you afford to lose $43,000?
We're insured. I don't get it unless you have something new, Brian.
We have something new.
Oh? Well, why didn't you say so?
You see, a man was murdered last night just off West Street, not far from here, as a matter of fact.
See what that has to do with our payroll robbery?
Well, you don't have to. That's our job. Now, here. Have a look at this photo, will you? You recognize this man?
No, I never saw him before. What's he done?
He got himself killed. Named Carlos La Jolla. That name mean anything to you?
Not a thing.
He had a record, 2 arrests for petty larceny.
It's a long jump to a $43,000 payroll robbery.
Maybe so, maybe not. We're going to find out. We're going to need your help.
I just don't get it. A man is found dead.
Murdered.
And just because it's near here, you think there's a connection.
Now, look, Mr. Cuffley, are you going to help us?
What can I do?
Well, I'd like to show this photo to all your employees. See whether any of them know La Jolla. Now, how about it?
All right, I'll get our foreman on it right away. I'm sorry, Brian, if I got worked up. You know. Oh, excuse me.
Certainly.
Yes?
This is Detective Gomez. Is Brian still there?
Oh, yes, just a moment. It's for you, Brian. Detective Gomez?
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
I got a description of Carlos' friend from Mrs. La Jolla and sent out an alert. We got a quick return. Phillips just radioed in. He's located our boy.
Oh, which one?
The soldier. His name is Wally Revlock. Fights under the name of Soldier Revlock.
Yeah, where'd they locate him?
At the Diamond Gym, a training place for fighters. Better let Phillips bring him in for questioning, eh?
No, I got a better plan. Keep an eye on him, and I'll meet you there in 10 minutes. I know the place. We'll do our questioning there, okay?
Okay. You having any luck where you are?
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Something new?
Well, there's always something new. I have to go now, Mr. Cuffley, but I'll be back to check on that photograph. Leave it with you?
I'll get right on it, Brian. Once again, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. By the way, did you ever hear of a man named Revlock? Soldier Revlock?
That's an odd name.
He's a fighter. You ever hear of him? No, I don't follow the fights. Why?
Well, you know how we are, Mr. Cuffley, we police. We just keep at it.
Back to Gangbusters in a moment. Tomorrow night on CBS Radio's Amos and Andy show, Kingfish's ever-loving wife, Sapphire, gets tired of waiting for Kingfish to get a job and takes one herself. Swelling with pride over his wife's sudden affluence, Kingfish does his part. Buys her a wardrobe consistent with her new position. What happens next, we'll hold back until tomorrow night. Don't miss the fun on the Amos and Andy show on most of these same stations every Sunday night. And now, back to Gangbusters.
Let's go to Redlock. That little guy punching the bag over in the corner.
Sherlock, I want to talk to you.
I didn't mean to keep you waiting, but I had to finish up my day's training.
Yeah.
Gotta be ready when the call comes, you know. Gotta have the hands hard and good shape. Hands, mister, it's all in the hands. That's the old bread and butter. Hand me that towel, will you, please?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So what is it what do you want to talk to me about, mister? Fight, huh? Knows my style, huh? It is. It's about a fight, isn't it?
It's about a killing.
Killing?
Yeah, we're police officers. Now, did you know Carlos La Jolla?
Carlos La Jolla?
Yeah, know him?
Why you ask?
He's dead.
Yeah, I know. Carlos was a great kid. Best.
What else do you know, Revlon?
Oh, like I said, he was the best. He used to work out with me when I couldn't afford a sparring partner. I had to get my hands on the one who did it. I'd kill him, sir. I mean, even if you were cops, I'd kill him with these here hands.
Yeah, La Jolla mentioned your name just before he died.
He did?
They wanted us to give you a message, but he never had a chance to finish it.
What kind of message?
Well, you tell us.
Beats me. I wouldn't know.
You ever hear of the Cuffley Tool Company?
Cuffley?
Right. They make machine parts.
Oh, I never heard of them. I'm a fighter. I don't know anything about machinery except these here hands in my hand.
Well, you said before that La Jolla worked out with you when you couldn't afford a sparring partner.
That's right. He was a good boy, Cuz.
But you can't afford a sparring partner now.
Well, I got my hands out some money.
How?
My old friend lent it to me.
What's your friend's name?
His name is Jerry Boone.
Suppose we check with Boone.
Well, you can't. Jerry died 3 months ago. You can check on that, though, if you don't believe it.
Why shouldn't we believe you?
Well, asking so many questions like, and acting like maybe I did something wrong.
Have you?
What, done something wrong?
Yeah.
Not me. I always stay out of trouble. I live a clean life and take care of myself all the time. Got to if I'm going to be ready when the call comes, you know. Have to be ready, go in, nice and trim. You got to have the hands in shape there. Got to be set, for my comeback. Hey, look, give me one right here in the gut. Go ahead. Go ahead, hard as you could. See how I can take it. Go ahead.
And nobody's in good enough shape to take a slug in there, Redline.
Look. Wouldn't want to hurt me. I never said anything to anybody.
Did Carlos La Jolla?
He's just a nice kid as far as I know.
And that's all you know?
That's all.
There was no doubt in the minds of Detectives Bryan and Gomez, Gangbusters listeners, that Soldier Revlock knew more than he was telling. They decided to play a waiting game and keep the soldier under surveillance. Sometimes this pays off. A few hours later, Bryan was sitting at his desk catching up on a sandwich and a cup of coffee.
About the sandwich, Red. What? Phillips just called in on Revlock. Someone shot him in his rooming house. Well, I thought Phillips had that all staked down. So did I. Says he went for a glass of water, took only a minute, heard a shot, and rushed back. Nobody but Revlock lying on the floor, plugged in the stomach. Oh. Phillips thinks the guy went up the stairs and over the roof. How's Revlock? Not good. The ambulance is on the way. You ready to roll? Yeah, I'm ready.
Bryan and Gomez beat the ambulance to Revlock's rooming house. A crowd had gathered in the street, and the hallway was full of milling residents.
All right, everybody. Phillips, clear the hall and shut the door. Revlock. Revlock. Who gave it to you, Revlock? Who did it?
I don't know.
Did you get a look at him?
But once I got... That was mean. That was awful. Sneaky mean. I'm dying, ain't I?
The ambulance is on its way. Be here in a minute. Now, look, Revlock. Who pulled the Cuffley payroll job? You did, didn't you? Tell us.
I did, yes.
Who else was with you? You didn't pull it alone. Who?
Carlos Lawyer.
Who shot the night watchman? Do you hear me, Revlock? Who shot the night watchman? You or Carlos?
No. The other one.
The other one?
He shot me, too. He pulled that rabbit punch on me.
Now, Revlock, you mean the same man that shot the watchman shot you? Now, what's his name?
It's Roy.
Roy.
That's all I know. Just Roy.
Did Cuffley know anything at all about the stick-up? He's fading, Frank. Yeah, I see that. Revlock, did Cuffley set up his own robbery?
Cuffley? Yes. Cuffley.
And Roy worked for Cuffley?
We all worked together. For Cuffley.
Here comes the ambulance. Yeah. Revlock, you know where this Roy lives? Revlock, can you hear me? He's gone, Frank. We've lost our witness. I know.
Well, Detective Bryan, how nice to see you again.
Is it? Your husband in, Mrs. Cuffley?
How do you like my new coat, Mr. Bryan? You're always so observant.
Well, that's a detective's job, Mrs. Cuffley. It's pretty fancy, I'd say. Must cost a lot of money. Now, will you tell your husband we want to see him?
I'm sure he'll be glad to see you.
Perhaps.
Come along. Detective Bryan again, dear. I'll see you again, I hope, Mr. Bryan.
You might, Mrs. Cuffley.
Come in, gentlemen. Close the door.
Yeah, this is Detective Gomez, my partner.
Oh, glad to meet you.
Thank you.
I had my foreman check the entire plant personnel on the photograph that you left with me. No one here recognized that man, what's his name, La Jolla?
Yeah, La Jolla, Carlos La Jolla. Nobody, huh?
I wish I could be more helpful.
Well, we can't win all the time. Harry, ask him the $64 question.
Something else?
Yes, do you have an employee named Roy? Does that first name mean anything to you?
Roy what? We probably have quite a few Roys on our payroll. You'll have to tell me more than that, gentlemen.
Well, perhaps this guy's not on your payroll. Let's see, he's a friend, business acquaintance.
I don't get you, Brian.
Now, look, Cuffley, here it is. A man named Roy shot your night watchman 6 months ago at the time of the payroll robbery.
I wouldn't know.
And this Roy probably shot Carlos La Jolla.
I told you I don't know this La Jolla.
That's what you told us.
Why do you ask me all this? I don't know anything.
And this Roy took a shot at a fighter named Soldier Revlock just an hour ago.
Why tell me all this?
Because Soldier Revlock told us that he, La Jolla, and Roy were all hired by you to hold up your own payroll, Cuffley. Now, come clean.
This soldier told you that?
He did, just an hour ago. Now, Cuffley, you are into this thing up to your neck. You might as well come clean. How about it? How about it, Cuffley?
All right. I planned the robbery. My wife kept asking me for money. I didn't know the watchman would be killed.
Uh-huh. And after the job was pulled, you were afraid of the soldier La Jolla. Afraid they'd talk, especially the soldier after we'd been to see him. That's why you had this Roy kill him, wasn't it?
Roy killed the soldier? But you said he spoke to you.
Before he died, Cuffley.
Then you haven't got a witness. The soldier is dead.
We haven't got Roy either, Cuffley. But we've got you for a starter. Now, come on.
A thorough investigation of Henry Cuffley's affairs, Gangbusters listeners, revealed that before the robbery, he had been in serious financial straits. The insistent demands of his extravagant wife caused him to plan the robbery and the subsequent cover-up murders. Cuffley revealed to the police that Roy's last name was Packham. Packham was apprehended within 48 hours and confessed to the dual murders. He was sentenced to execution in the electric chair. Henry Cutley was also electrocuted for his complicity in the murders.
Thank you, John J. Sullivan, former Deputy Commissioner and Chief of Detectives, Police Department, City of New York. And now, Gangbusters Nationwide Clues, broadcast every week to assist American police in their war against the underworld. Attention, Gangbusters listeners. Aaron Harry Gordon is wanted by the FBI for unlawful flight to avoid confinement for the crime of murder. Listen carefully to his official description.
Aaron Harry Gordon, age 52, 5 feet 5 1/2 inches, 145 pounds, short build, dark chestnut hair, blue-green eyes, fair complexion. May seek work as a house painter. This fugitive is blind in left eye, has heavy eyebrows, and nose is broad and ridged. He is an amateur wrestler, a proficient still life painter, and portrait painter.
Caution. Gordon may be armed and should be considered dangerous. If you have any information concerning this clue, notify your local police, the nearest office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. Tonight's Gangbusters case was written by Edward J. Adamson and directed by Leonard L. Bass, with Louis Van Ruten, Scott Tennyson, and Will F. Zuckert in leading roles. This production was supervised for CBS Radio by Jerry Danzig. Gaylord Avery speaking. The Mutt and Jeff Team on Gangbusters, a production of CBS Radio in cooperation with Phillips H. Lord. Time and tide wait for no man. The same thing could be said about news. It doesn't wait on anyone's convenience. What does help is having your radio handy, at home, in your car, wherever you are, and tuning in the strategically spaced news broadcasts of CBS News.
We hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story. As proudly we hail Major Dana Stacy, U.S. Air Force. Entitled The Old Pro. The story of a daring jet fighter pilot, as proudly we hail Major Dana Stacy of the U.S. Air Force and all the officers and men of the 25th Fighter Interceptor Squadron and the 51st Fighter Interceptor Group. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, young man, take your place in the new jet age as an Air Force aviation cadet. You'll get 18 months of intensive training, learn all about jet operation, and you'll be surprised how easy jets are to fly and how safe, too. Aviation cadets graduate as Air Force lieutenants with earnings of over $5,000 a year. To qualify, you must be between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, single, and have at least 2 years of college. Visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station for details. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hail production, The Old Pro.
Jet fighter interceptor pilot. Your name is Major Dana Stacy. You're called back to your squadron in South Korea after rest and recuperation leave in Tokyo. Leave that was cut in half because your squadron wanted you back fast, coming big in the wind. So you look out the window of the C-47 down at the dark blue flatness of the Sea of Japan below. And you talk to the war correspondent, Cogan, on the bucket seat next to me. And then you doze off, dreaming of the lead that didn't finish. A fine dream, until you feel a hand shake you.
Major. Yeah? Major Stacy, wake up. What? What's the matter? We're almost at the field. Thought you'd want to know.
Oh, yeah. So we are.
Supposed to pass the safety belt.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you were really pounding your ear.
Yeah, dreaming beautiful dreams, Cogan. About leaving Tokyo. I didn't get to finish.
Stop. Say, what do you suppose your squadron's got scheduled if they need you back in such a rush?
How long have you been a war correspondent, Cogan?
About a year. Why?
Well, then you ought to know I couldn't tell you even if I knew.
I'm sorry. How long you been in the service, Major?
Since 42. Not counting a few years as a civilian after the big war.
And you ought to be used to these things happening.
Yeah, you're right, Cogan. I'm sorry I blew my top.
You didn't exactly flip.
It's just that after you've been at it for a while, getting back to your squadron isn't the kick it used to be.
How old are you, Major?
29.
Real old timer. The kind they call the old pros, huh?
Yeah, that's what these buck lieutenants call it.
Flew in the last war?
Yeah. Italy, 15th Air Force, T-51. I used to think they were hot ships.
I'll say we're about to land.
Any minute. In the landing pattern now.
Well, what made you come back in, Major? Didn't like civilian life?
Oh, I guess you've heard all the standard answers to that one. But for me, once you've flown a combat ship, nothing else is quite enough.
I wanted to climb into a jet and see what made it tick, huh?
Yeah, something like that. All I needed was a reason.
And this Korea business?
That was the reason I needed.
What's this all about, Colonel Peyton?
You'll get briefed, but I can tell you this much now. Tomorrow we're going to clobber a new red airfield, this side of the Yalu.
A maximum effort by the group, huh?
Yep.
Hey, what's that?
Huh?
Hey, looks like someone's in trouble.
Spot him, Safe? Yeah. There he is, Jeff. That F-86 on the approach to runway 17.
What's the matter with him?
He's coming in dead straight.
Well, isn't he coming in 2 feet?
Got to. He needs the speed. Yeah, he's leveling off now. He's got the runway made. Right, easy, boy. Level those wings. That's it. That's it. Now just pull her back. A little. That's it. Now put her down. Okay.
Thought for a minute he was going to undershoot it.
Yeah.
We need that boy in his plane for tomorrow.
Man, that is one devil of a sight.
You were sweating. Think about that boy.
They come in dead stick like that very often?
Whenever it happens, it's too often.
Must be some trick to make a landing like that.
Without any power, you only get one shot at the runway.
And, if they foul up?
They usually don't. They can't.
Ever make a dead stick landing in a jet, Major?
Not yet, Koga. And I'd just as soon put it off for a while.
How's that for a meal, Dana? Better than that sukiyaki?
Yeah. Except the sukiyaki's in Tokyo.
Another 6 weeks and we'll hit Japan together, eh, boy?
Oh, good deal. Say, meanwhile, clue me in on tomorrow's mission, will you?
Yeah. Well, it's strictly max effort. With everything we got against everything they've got. Hey, Lieutenant Summons.
Yes, Colonel?
Tell Major Safety here what happened to your flight yesterday.
Man, that was some hairy old dog fight.
What happened?
Well, there were these 8 Minks in a ragged formation, like when the new boys, first trip out. So we tore into them.
Yeah.
Turned out they were anything but new. They fought us down to the deck and back up again, using every trick in the book. And it was rough. Hot and rough.
That's what I mean, Stay? Oh, excuse me. The old man, please.
Yeah. Yes, sir. But next time I see one of those jokers, I won't be caught with my flaps down. I'll clobber him for sure.
Lieutenant, you're sure one fire-eating flyboy, huh?
Well, I don't have to be a World War II vet to know I can bounce a jet around the sky as well as anyone. And I mean anyone.
A real hot pilot, huh?
No one ever got on my tail, including combat instructors, except one Mink. And he didn't stay there long.
Well, kid, you got a lot to learn. Don't you know there's always someone somewhere who can outfly you?
No one in this man's squadron, including the fellows with World War II air medals and DFCs. Old pros. Old schmoes.
Well, we may be old schmoes, buddy, but we learned how to fly a wing first.
Meaning what?
Meaning when you left your leader's wing last month to go after a MiG.
O'Hara told you, huh?
Yeah, and more. How he had to jeopardize his entire flight to save your neck when another flight of MiGs bounced you.
I'm not the only one who's done that.
Look, Summers, the minute you left O'Hara's wing, you jeopardized the life of a guy who was depending on you. And the quicker you learn that a wingman is supposed to fly wing to protect his leader and himself, the better off we'll all be. And I'll tell you this, buddy. You ever leave my wing, I'll see you court-martialed.
I'm not planning to fly your wing, Major.
Well, I hope you don't. You'd really get a workout.
Are you kidding? Flying wing on a cautious old pro is the safest work there is. That's good duty.
The old man wanted to know how many airplanes we'll have in commission. Uh-huh. Well, did you get Major Stacy here the word, Lieutenant?
The ungarbled word, Colonel.
The straight cadet school poop. The lieutenant doesn't know it, Jeff, but someone's going to fix his wagon one of these days, in the air or on the deck.
Hey, anything wrong here?
No. Well, are you leaving, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Good night, sir. Major, sir. Colonel?
What's that all about, Jake? The smart buck lieutenant. What makes these kids so almighty cocky?
Say, 10 years ago, we were the same way. And you were worse than any of us.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, I'll see you in the morning.
Right. In the ready room, it's briefing.
Jeff!
What?
Look at that flight board.
Well, what's up there?
Well, I'm still leading a flight, but look who's on my wing.
Oh, that kid Summers. Not my doing, Chase.
But this Summers, Jeff, I have no use for him, nor he for me.
Sorry, buddy. Really, I am. But he's your wingman today.
As Colonel Vargas just pointed out, moving into this new field at Kawang Fo, this side of the Yalus, part of the Red Cry for air supremacy. Our fighter bombers are Dixon program, letting them back. New field will bring them 100 miles closer than their nest across the river.
Almost.
But he's sharp. And once they set up shop, it'll be rough rooting them out of there. So today we've got to stop them. All that's going to stop the 800 or so MiGs that they throw against us is our 150 Sabres flying top cover for the fighter bombers. Now, Major Stacy?
Yeah, back here.
Call sign for your flight will be Doctor.
Right.
Station will be 40,000 feet. Like about here. See what I'm pointing on a map? At a bend of the river just west of Kowloon Cove. Grid coordinates are Uncle Roger 2170. Got it?
Yeah, Angels 40, Uncle Roger 2170. Got it.
Takeoff time for Doctor Flight 0900. You'll see your in and out courses here on the map. Don't forget to check Operational Control Center, punch drunk, before you cross the bomb line, and control ship Blackjack after you're across. Now, Captain Romaine, your flight will follow the Colonel's flight.
You're strapped in the cockpit of your F-86 Saberjet now. Home. Your earphones are plugged into the radio and your oxygen mask fits tightly over your face. Your jet engine is idling impatiently behind you, and you're ready to leave. You glance at the others in your flight, then you call the tower.
Tower, this is Doctor Flight with 4 patients. Taxi and takeoff instructions, please.
Doctor, this is Tower. Clear to runway 17. Altimeter 29.92. Wind south-southeast at 15.
Roger, Tower, and out.
So you swing out to the taxiway, your flight strung out behind you in single file. Up ahead you see a leader and his wingman rushing down the runway in a twin snorting tail-up charge, lifting eagerly into the air, then climbing sharply away in beautifully paired precision. Suddenly they're silhouettes, and you are ready to take off. You glance at Summers, and he's right at your wingtip.
Tower, this is Doctor. Are we clear to roll?
Cleared for takeoff, Doctor.
You slowly open the throttle, holding the brakes as hard as you can. Then release the brakes and feel a slam of power as you bang back into your seat. Now you're rolling, gradually picking up speed. Seeing Summers out of the corner of your eye, almost abreast of you off your window. Then your controls take hold. Your engine will be rising. You go back on the pitch of your airborne. Line up. You're at 40,000 feet now, heading north. The four of you in a tight, shiny V, you at the head. You're approaching the bomb line. A red, jagged line on your map separates UN forces from the commies. So you contact the operational control center.
Punch Drunk, this is Doctor. How do you read me? Over.
Doctor, this is Punch Drunk. Read you loud and clear. Over.
Punch Drunk, this is Doctor with 4 patients heading north. Over.
Roger, Doctor. Hand out.
Now you've punched in for work. And when you put in your time, as long as you're fuel time, you punch out on the way home. You look off your right wingtip at Summer. She's still in there close. Ahead, big alley, no man's land. Back in the middle of it, 40,000 feet, big altitude. Below the broad mouth of the Yalu River empties into the Yellow Sea. Far off on the horizon across the river is Antung, the MiG's biggest nest. Time to call into the control ship.
Blackjack, this is Doctor. How do you read me? Over.
Doctor, this is Blackjack. Read you 5 by 5. Over.
Blackjack, am on station at Angels 40. Standing by. Over.
Roger, Doctor. And out.
Standing by. Waiting for me. Waiting for Blackjack to tell you radar picked up MiG bandits heading your way. Staring into the sky, waiting for one telltale gleam of silver. Knowing their radar has picked you up by now. And the fighter bombers who are now winging into plaster Kawang Po Field. Wait.
Doctor, this is Blackjack. Over.
Go ahead, Blackjack.
Enemy aircraft departing station.
Roger, Blackjack, and out.
So you call your boys.
Dr. Flight, they're on their way. Keep your eyes peeled. They'll be above us.
Roger, Doctor. Roger, Doc. Roger, Doctor.
5 minutes later, or is it 5 seconds later?
Doctor, this is Blackjack. Bandits, 3 o'clock high.
3 o'clock high. Roger, Blackjack.
Radar tells Blackjack which way you're pointed, and that the MiGs are above you to your right. But radar can't get in the cockpit and spot them for you, so you have to eyeball it yourself. 8 pairs of eyes are riveted on 3 o'clock high when...
Tally-ho! Bandits, 3 o'clock, very high. 8 of them, Doctor.
Blackjack, we have bandits in sight. Out.
They're starting their run.
Turn into them, Dr. Flight.
Here we go, flyboys.
Turning now. Stick close.
Doctor, this is Blackjack. More enemy aircraft departing station.
You are listening to the proudly beheld production, The Old Pro. We'll return in just a moment for the second act. College men, you can learn to fly the latest and fastest jets easily and safely as an Air Force aviation cadet. Aviation cadets get 18 months of tough, concentrated jet training, leading to a lieutenant's commission in the Air Force and earnings of more than $5,000 a year. Your future is unlimited. To qualify, you must be between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, single, and have at least 2 years of college. Visit your local United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station now. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of The Old Pro.
This is it, a dogfight. Not a one-pass brush with the Reds running for cover, but a big old hairy dogfight. Your formation meshes with theirs, closing at 1,000 miles per hour. And you answer the Red winking cannons from their noses with your 50. And then suddenly you're through their formation, turning sharply to avoid a collision quickly to get another bandit in your sights for a split second. And then rocking your ship around in a heavy stomach pulling turn, ready for the next pass.
Still with you, Doctor. Let's go get them.
Dr. 3, where are you?
9 o'clock. Busy over here. Doctor can't rejoin you. Doctor, this is Blackjack. Enemy aircraft departing station.
And now the sky is full of twisting, turning, rolling, screaming, hammering planes, yours and theirs. Could be every man for himself, but Summers hangs on to you.
Lone Wolf below, Doctor. Shall we?
Negative. Bandits coming in at 6.
Diving with you.
Let these new boys make their pass, then we'll go help Tyner. Read me?
Roger, Doctor. Here we go.
And a few flight of MiGs barrels in, another 8 fleet cannon platforms, pouring hot embers at you as you turn sharply into them. And then you break loose.
Tyner, where are you?
Have him in sight, Doctor. 3 o'clock. Low, alone.
Dr. 3, get on up here fast.
Looking for 4. He's gone. Doctor, he's got trouble on his tail. 2 of them.
Breaking down fast to help him. 6, Summers.
With you.
All right, over on your back and down. Stay in the sight, big boy.
You got him, Doctor. Oh, constant thanks, Doctor. Joining you.
Hurry it up.
Doctor, have you inside. Joining you.
Where you been, wingman? Taking off a bandit, then clobbering it.
Oh, got yourself a big Mink lucky. Affirmative, buddy.
All right, knock off the chatter. Here come again.
Here's a Mink coming in on your tail, Doctor.
Turning into him.
Turning with you. Wow!
And as the firing Mink flashes past, you turn to look at Summers and Vic protecting your tail. And time to see another Mink pulling up in a swift recovery from a run. A firing pass that rips off half of Summers' wing.
Summers, how bad is it?
Can't you see? I only got half a right wing.
Can you stay with it?
Not very long, buddy.
You okay? Can you jump?
I'm okay, but I don't jump here. Not into a prison camp.
All right, trim her up the best you can and point south while I check my map.
Roger, Doctor. I've already got as much left rudder as I can hold to compensate for the wing.
All right, keep your head swiveling and your eyes open. You're easy meat to these Minks now, buddy.
Oh, Roger.
As far as I can figure, we're not too far from the bomb line. You stay up till we get over our line?
I'm losing altitude steadily, but I think I can make it if a Mink doesn't have other ideas.
Well, I'll run you interference, boy.
You got enough fuel to stick with me?
Oh, toxin fuel, fat with it.
Don't kid me. My fuel counter says you ought to return to base. I can handle myself.
Now, look, you got a wingman now to keep the big, bad MiGs from picking on you.
You're going to need help?
Company?
Plenty. 3 o'clock high. Oxford Bandit.
You jerk your head up, and there they are. 4 slim MiGs jockeying for position to start their run. They should be cold meat for them. One limping saber with only you to protect you.
Summers, can you turn into them when they make their run?
Negative, you'll spin.
Well, then hold your course. I'll do the turning.
Cardinal rule for fighter pilots. Always turn into your attackers. Don't let them get on your tail. But Summers can't turn, so it's up to you. You'll have to always be between Summers and the MiGs and turn into each pass they make. The hair on the back of your neck bristles. Then it's dark.
Here they come, Doctor.
Dive!
Summers dives. Turn into the first MiG, meeting him head-on. For a breathless instant, you face each other, his nose winking brightly as he lobs cannon shells at you, pouring into him. And then he flashes over you, big enough, but now his lagging wingman flips into your gun sight for only a moment, and you fire a burst, turning sharply to lead him. And pieces of metal spray from his flame before he dies.
You nailed him! You nailed him!
How bad?
Damn it, he won't be back.
But you have no time for elation as you scream in a tight, whistling turn into the next MiG, and the next. Firing when they flash through your gun sight, swiveling your head frantically, trying desperately to keep those 4 MiGs off Summers and off your tail. And then a MiG stands big and fat in your sight. You've got a clear shot at Summers, not knowing you're on his tail. So you pour your 50s into him. It begins smoking, and then a brilliant grab scatters them all over the sky. Pull up into his wingman and fire again while on your back in a roaring turn. Suddenly it's all over. There isn't another plane in the sky, except Summers down below.
They gone, Summers?
Yeah. You're gone, big brother.
See any go down?
Saw one go in. Under the probable. Last 2 chickened out finally.
Good. I'm about out of ammo.
So you join up on Summers again, feeling like you've just gone 10 rounds against a team of Dempseys. Your gloved palms wet with pools of hate and fear. Icy sweat stinging your eyes, clamming the flight suit against your heaving side. Your mouth tasting of pennies. You're completely whipped, and you're still hundreds of miles from home.
Hey, Doctor, isn't that the bomb line below?
Yeah, looks like.
We made it.
No sweat, I told you.
Man, South Korea never looked so good.
Look, Summers, we're 12,000 now. We get to 5,000. Take a slight tank and bail out, but fast.
Maybe I can take this baby in.
With half a wing gone, you'd clobber yourself.
Could be done.
You bail out, boy.
Roger, Doctor. You're the doctor.
Once you're down safely, I'll call a helicopter for you.
Good deal.
5,000. You ready?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, out you go. Aim for that clearing.
Roger. See you around campus, buddy.
Punch drunk. This is Dr. Leader. 4 entered, 1 returning.
2 already returned. Is that right, Doctor? Repeat, 2 already returned. Is that correct?
Affirmative, Punch drunk. Have a man down south of bomb line. Can you get a helicopter to him?
Roger, Doctor. Have a chopper in vicinity. What are your coordinates?
Wait a minute, let me see. Obo Baker 5918. Got it?
Obo Baker, 5918. Roger, Doctor.
Returning the pigeon now, Punch drunk.
Roger, Doctor.
And out. We're turning out of base, if you're lucky. Your fuel counter shows you couldn't fly more than 5 minutes, and you've got several hundred miles to go. So what do? You make a decision. It'll be tricky, but maybe. First, climb up to where you don't eat fuel up so fast. Climb 40,000 feet. Now a little faster. Rate of fuel consumption, distance to travel, amount of fuel at altitude. But the answer always comes out the same. Not enough fuel. If you want to have power to land with, you've got to do without power now. More arithmetic. And here's an answer you like. Without power, you can glide maybe 100 miles, then start your engine and land with power. Simple. Well, it might be done. So you cut your switch. The quiet is eerie. You cock your stick forward slightly, pushing the nose down. Now you're committed to the arithmetic that your life is dependent upon. Somewhere off on the horizon is your field. You're high now, but your altimeter hand is turning counterclockwise relentlessly as you steadily lose altitude in your desperate glide. And then suddenly, too suddenly, you're at 8,000 feet. Time for an air start, now or never. You flip your air start switch, and the engine sings. You check your instruments, then cut in your fuel. The spark is there with a fire. Now, before you lose any more altitude. And it does catch, slamming you back in your seat with a sudden power. You climb again to reserve fuel. And you can see the field. When in your cockpit, the fuel counter says you only have 10 gallons. Barely enough for a landing.
Tower, this is Doctor. Emergency. Low on fuel. Request straight in approach. Over.
Cleared for straight in. Landing runway 17, over.
10 miles from touchdown now. It's going to be close.
Roger, Doctor. We're standing by.
You better clear the... Mayday. Tower, Mayday. I'm dry. Engine just cut out.
Cleared for immediate pancake. Have you inside.
Roger, Tower.
Alert crash group. All aircraft in vicinity. Emergency. Field is closed.
Prettiest dead trick I ever saw. Oh, Jeff, I was sure I undershot it. Skillful execution, as the old man would say. I still say one dead stick landing is one too many. Mayday for you, buddy. Yeah? Successful air start and dead stick landing, 2 MiGs and a probable. Well, looks like I'm not the only one to nail a MiG. I never saw a mess hall so happy. Yeah, big day for everyone. The squadron, the group, the wing. The fighter-bomber boys plastered that field, and we took care of the MiG. An unqualified success, says the old man.
Seen Summer State?
Oh, Steiner, no. Last time I saw him, he was sitting on a rock this side of the bomb line.
Someone says he's back.
There he is, bouncing into the net. Hold on. I thought I told you to stay on my wing.
You beat up Major you. How'd you get back?
Bust the F-86 and its beautiful glide race.
Yeah, well, you know that helicopter you got just delivered me. Those choppers aren't bad, considering they got no wings.
Well, last time I saw you, boy, you were missing half a wing.
Hey, boys, let me clue you about the Major. Wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. Shot down 2 big nicks, he did. And chased the others away that were picking on poor little defenseless me. Yes, he did, and he knew all the time he didn't have the fuel to afford to stay with me. What a boy.
When I tell a wingman to stick with me, I see that he sticks.
Oh, that's the ungarbled word, for sure.
couple of really lucky boys.
Oh, you know, with our luck, Summers, we ought to find ourselves a poker game.
I'm with you, buddy, all the way.
Hey, what is this? I thought you didn't like the Major.
Yeah, you and Stacy had no use for each other.
Are you kidding? Stace is my buddy. That's a straight proof. Why, he's an old pro.
Young man, if you've had 2 years of college, are single and otherwise qualified, there's a future for you as an aviation cadet in the U.S. Air Force. You'll receive 18 months of the world's finest flight training, fly the latest jets easily and safely, and graduate as an Air Force lieutenant with earnings of more than $5,000 a year. The aviation cadets of today will be the leaders of the jet age. Be one of them. Visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Once again, it's time to call on our old friend, that incomparable host and storyteller, Dr. Watson. He's waiting for us in his familiar study. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bell. I won't get up if you don't mind. This change in the weather has given me a twinge or two of rheumatism, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Dr. Watson.
We old fossils can't expect to be as hale and hearty as you young fellows, you know.
I don't know that I feel so young today, Dr. Watson. I stopped by the military academy this afternoon and saw my cousin there. He's 13 years old, and after an hour with him, I realized I'm really quite ancient.
13 years old. Oh, a fine age. He's happy at the school, Mr. Bell?
Crazy about it.
Yes, I'm sure that in this day and age, a boy almost looks forward to going to school. Conditions were far different in certain parts of England just before the turn of the century, I'm afraid. I'm thinking in particular of a school that Holmes and I had occasion to visit, and of the frightened, unhappy youngsters who lived there in mortal terror of their lives.
Oh, this has all the hallmarks of the beginning of a Sherlock Holmes adventure.
It is, my boy. It's a story I call The Singular Affair of the Dying Schoolboys. But before I begin, haven't you a message for our listeners?
Yes, I have. Folks, it looks as if we're in for plenty of excitement tonight with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. And men, I'll bet you'll be plenty excited about the great improvement in the appearance of your hair once you use Kreml Hair Tonic. Frankly, I've tried any number of hair dressings, but it took Kreml to really convince me that my hair can always be neat without having to plaster it down with grease or those sticky, gooey concoctions. And Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking attractive. It makes hair so much easier to comb and actually helps condition the hair, in that it leaves it feeling so much softer, easier to manage. At the same time, Kreml removes embarrassing dandruff flakes. It relieves itching due to dry scalp and leaves your scalp feeling so clean, so alive. Man, what a treat.
Now be sure to buy a bottle at any drug counter, spelled Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about the singular affair of the dying schoolboy?
Well, Mr. Bell, that strange adventure began on a stormy September evening in Baker Street many, many years ago. All day long the wind had screamed and the rain had beaten against our windows. Shortly after dinner, there was the old familiar jangle on our front doorbell. And a few moments later, Mrs. Hudson ushered a distinguished visitor into the room. As he stood there in front of the flickering firelight, I could see that he was a good-looking man and also that he was in a state of considerable excitement.
Now, Lord Manders, if you will just give us the facts.
Well, Mr. Holmes, 3 years ago, I was a passenger on that ill-fated ship, the Sophie Anderson. She was wrecked in a gale, and I was the only survivor. I clung to a piece of broken spar and was washed ashore, and after that, for over 2 years, I lived alone on an island in the Indian Ocean. Naturally, when the Sophie Anderson foundered, I was believed to be dead. My young brother, Eric, who was next in line, inherited the estate and the guardianship of our uncle.
Oh, there must have been quite a lot of confusion when you arrived home this year, Lord Manders.
There was, Dr. Watson, but not for the reason you suppose. I landed in England to find that my brother had died last December.
Oh, indeed, I'm very sorry.
He died under very peculiar circumstances. That's why I've come to you, Mr. Holmes.
What were those circumstances?
My uncle sent Eric to a school on the Welsh moors not far from Cardiff, a school known as Ponsonby Hall. He died in the school infirmary there, supposedly of pneumonia.
And you have some reason to believe it was not pneumonia?
Nothing definite. I've been down to the school, but Dr. Ponsonby, the owner, was too ill to see me. However, I did talk to a frightening woman there, who's the matron of the place, a Mrs. Arkwright. I became suspicious, so I stayed on and, for a few days, made some local inquiries.
With what results?
Ponsonby Hall has a black name with the villagers, Mr. Holmes. 5 boys have died there in the last 2 years under circumstances similar to my brother's.
Good gracious me.
I presume that you immediately had an accounting with your uncle?
My uncle had settled another account before my return, Mr. Holmes. He died of a heart attack last February. But I am certain he was responsible for Eric's death. You see, he stood to inherit the estate. It may sound incredible, but I believe Eric was murdered at Ponsonby Hall.
Murdered in a boys' school? Oh, come, sir. Such things can't happen in this 19th century of ours.
But they can, Watson. And do, unfortunately.
You don't mean it?
I do. A private school situated in a desolate spot and operated by an unprincipled scoundrel could provide excellent and profitable opportunities for removing unwanted relatives.
What a ghastly thought.
Mr. Holmes, I know that Eric's dead and nothing can bring him to life again. But I can try and avenge his death and bring his murderer to justice. You will help me, won't you?
Yes, Lord Manders, I will. If these shocking occurrences have been taking place, we may be able at least to prevent further tragedies. Watson, suppose we join Lord Manders on the West of England Express tonight, and tomorrow see what can be done to penetrate the black clouds that surround Ponsonby Hall.
We're walking in the wrong direction, Mr. Holmes. The school's behind us.
And before going there, I thought we might profitably pay a visit here in the village to Llewellyn Coffin.
Oh, who's he?
The local undertaker.
An undertaker named Coffin? That's very funny, isn't it? Coffin, undertaker.
Quite. But try and control your amusement, will you, Watson?
Oh, sorry, Albert.
Here's his establishment now.
Good day, gentlemen.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes, sir. That's my name, Coffin.
We're strangers in these parts, and we're in search of information. I'm hoping, Mr. Coffin, that you'll be able to help us.
What I can do, sir, I will, and do it gladly.
I understand that you've had an unusually large proportion of business from Ponsonby Hall in the past 2 years.
5 boys died, didn't they?
5 boys it was.
Mr. Coffin, we've heard some strange stories in the village.
Yes, stories that make us wonder if those deaths were from natural causes.
Gentlemen, I'm a simple man, look you. A man who plies his trade but cannot afford to ask questions. What goes on at Ponsonby Hall, and I'll not say strange things haven't happened there, is none of my business.
Then let me appeal to your sympathies. My young brother died at Ponsonby Hall last December. You must have buried him.
Your brother? Well, now look you, that makes it different. But you'll not say anything up at the hall, sir. Dr. Ponsonby's a savage man.
Don't worry on that score, Mr. Coffin.
What do you ought to know him, sir?
All the 5 boys were supposed to have had pneumonia, I understand.
That's what the medical report said.
Who signed those reports?
Dr. Ponsonby himself. He's a regular medical doctor, look you.
How very convenient. No questions had to be asked. Mr. Coffin, when you prepared those bodies for burial, did you notice anything unusual about them? Anything to make you think their deaths were possibly not caused by pneumonia?
No, sir.
Think now.
Well, now that you mention it, there was one thing I was after noticing.
Oh, what was that, my good man?
The boys had a strange look on their faces as they lay there, as if something had frightened the wits out of them just before they died.
That's very odd. The face of anyone dying from pneumonia would be in repose.
Did you notice anything else, Mr. Coffin? Any other peculiarity?
Well, there was one thing, sir, that gave me to thinking. All the boys had marks on them. Scratch marks they were on their necks or shoulders.
Perhaps they were bites. Remember Dr. Rylott of Stoke Moran, Holmes?
Did these marks look like the bites of a snake, Mr. Coffin?
No, that they weren't. Look, you, I know a snake bite when I see one.
Didn't these marks make you suspicious?
That they did, sir. And when I saw them on the boys, I took my courage in my hands and asked Dr. Ponsonby.
And what did he say?
Inoculation marks. He said that he had tried to save them with some newfangled medicine.
No autopsy was held on the boys?
No, sir. Dr. Ponsonby is the only doctor in these parts, look you. He gave the certificates. Who was to ask any questions?
Exactly. Come on, Watson, Lord Manders. This has been a very promising start. Thank you, Mr. Coffin. You've been most helpful.
It was a pleasure to talk to you, gentlemen, but please don't be after repeating what I said.
Well, Mr. Holmes, I think you'll agree my suspicions were well grounded.
Yes, and we'll lose no time investigating this matter. I think we may work faster if we divide our forces. I shall return to the inn and compose a telegram that I shall ask you to send for me, Lord Manders.
Of course, Mr. Holmes.
Aren't you going to Ponsonby Hall, Holmes?
Not immediately. However, you, my dear Watson, can be my advance guard.
Me?
Yes. I think that your open countenance, combined with that delightful Scottish accent you sometimes assume, plus an appropriate name, should lull Dr. Ponsonby into believing that he has another wealthy customer who needs his very specialized services.
Well, Holmes, I'll do my best. Just the same, I'll be very relieved when you get on the scene.
I'm Mrs. Arkwright, the school matron. Whom did you wish to see?
I want to have a word with Dr. Ponsonby. My name is Angus McLaughlin, and I'm most anxious to send my young cousin here.
Oh?
Aye, he needs discipline, and I'm told that you dinna pamper a young lad here.
Please come in. I'm sure Dr. Ponsonby will see you.
Thank you, Mrs. Arkwright.
Copy.
Go in, please.
Dr. Ponsonby?
Yes, please sit down, won't you?
Thank you, sir. My name is Angus McLaughlin. I've travelled all the way from Aberdeen to see you. I was told that at your school you at least know how to discipline a lad.
Well, Mr. McLaughlin, in our modest way, we endeavour to inculcate our students with a sense of responsibility.
Aye.
I was about to have a glass of wine. Perhaps you'd care to join me?
That's very kind of you, Dr. Ponsonby. I'd like to.
You wish to send a relative here, Mr. McLaughlin?
Aye, sir, a young cousin of mine, if you'll take him.
And here's your wine, Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, sir. And to your very good health. That's very good.
Tell me more about your cousin, sir. Before I accept a new student, I like to know as much about him as possible.
Well, I'll be quite frank with you. He's 13 years old and he's a young devil, and an inconvenient young devil, too. You see, Dr. Ponsonby, I'm his guardian. You follow me?
No, sir, I don't think I do.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm not a poor man. And I'd be a very wealthy one if it weren't for that boy. The whippersnapper is the only person who stands between me and my dead brother's fortune. I wouldn't be sorry if anything were to happen to him. Am I making myself quite clear, Doctor?
Much clearer, Mr. McLaughlin. Another glass of wine?
Thank you. Well, it's very good.
Mr. McLaughlin, why not put all your cards on the table? so much simpler that way.
Very well. Does £10,000 mean anything to you, Dr. Ponsonby?
Dear me, yes. The scholastic profession is notoriously unremunerative.
If my young cousin were to be taken ill, perhaps, shall we say, with pneumonia, if he were to die here at your school, what was I saying? I'd pay you £10,000. And now, sir, I can't be more explicit than that. No, can I?
I don't think so. By the way, Mr. McLaughlin, your Scottish accent is beginning to disappear. Such a pity. It was quite colourful.
This wine's drugged. You haven't touched your wine. It's drugged.
I'm a most abstemious man. Particularly on occasions like this, Dr. Watson.
How did you know my name?
Even in this remote spot, I've seen photographs of you and your friend, the famous Sherlock Holmes. I'm just a little hurt that you both thought I was stupid enough to be fooled so easily. You seem dreadfully sleepy, Dr. Watson.
Sleep, I've got to go to sleep.
And sleep well, my friend. I only hope that you don't have too much trouble waking up.
In just a moment, we'll find out just how much trouble Dr. Watson does have in waking up. But first, have you noticed how men are taking a greater interest in their appearance lately? Competition today is keener than ever. And I'm sure you'll agree one of the greatest assets to a man's appearance is well-groomed hair. So, men, let me give you this tip about Kreml Hair Tonic and why it's preferred by so many of America's most successful and prosperous executives. Kreml, K-R-E-M-L, keeps dry, ruffled hair neatly in place all day long. It gives it such a handsome, healthy-looking luster, too. Yet Kreml never leaves hair with that offensive, cheap, greasy look. It never leaves hair and scalp full of sticky goo, which feels so dirty. Kreml always looks and smells so clean on both hair and scalp. It gives hair that attractive, natural he-man look, which certainly hits the jackpot with the ladies. And don't forget, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Let me repeat, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. It makes hair feel softer, easier to manage. At the same time, it removes dandruff flakes and makes the scalp feel so clean and invigorated. Men, use Kreml Hair Tonic daily. And see if you don't say, my hair never looked better. My scalp never felt cleaner. Well, Dr. Watson, you certainly left me teetering on the edge of my chair. We left you drugged in the schoolmaster's study. What happened next?
Well, my first conscious recollection was to find myself with a violent pounding in my head, lying in a small clearing between some trees. Bending over me with a look of deep concern on his face was my old friend Sherlock Holmes.
Watson. Watson, old chap, are you all right?
Yes, I got a frightful headache, Holmes. What are you doing there in those clothes with that droopy moustache?
It proved a good enough passport to secure me employment at the stables here.
Well, how did you get me out of Ponsonby's study?
The stables command an excellent view of the school building. Your long absence worried me, and when Dr. Ponsonby finally appeared, alone, I became suspicious. So I took advantage of his absence, slipped through the study window, and rescued you.
Well, thank heavens you did. He gave me drugged wine. It's a funny thing, Holmes. I was probably delirious, but I swear that I saw a woman's handbag on the table. A pink and black beaded bag, and it was alive and moved.
Great heavens! That confirms my worst suspicions.
Did you see it too?
No, it wasn't there when I came in. Somebody, probably Mrs. Arkwright, removed it. Watson, you were never closer to death. I blame myself for having allowed you to tackle Dr. Ponsonby alone.
Don't reproach yourself, Holmes. Where's Lord Manders?
Waiting at the inn for an answer to my telegram. He is to meet us later behind the lodge gates.
What's our next move?
To go to the stables, dirty you up a bit and get your change of clothes. Then we'll return to the attack. There's desperate work ahead of us.
This way, sir.
What, my man?
Don't look so alarmed, Lord Manders.
Dr. Watson, I I wouldn't have recognized you. What's happened?
Trouble. I had to assume a disguise, too. You brought an answer to Holmes's telegram?
Yes, in my pocket. Where is he?
He went over to the main school building and asked me to keep watch for you here at the gate. Oh, here he is now.
Is there an answer to my telegram, Lord Manders?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, splendid. I was right.
What is it, Holmes?
I haven't time to explain now. At the moment, we have to work, and work fast, before Mr. Coffin has another client from Ponsonby Hall.
What have you discovered?
Among other things, that the second cook, an acidulated woman of dubious charms, is most susceptible to flattery. Over a glass of stout, she quite inadvertently gave me 3 vital clues.
What were they?
Firstly, that all 5 of the unfortunate boys died in the same small room. Secondly, that fatal room is directly under the room of Mrs. Arkwright.
And she's capable of anything, if you ask me.
The third clue makes our next step an urgent one. A boy by the name of Carruthers Minor was moved into that room yesterday. He's supposed to have an extremely bad cold. Dr. Ponsonby is afraid it might turn into pneumonia.
Good heavens.
Exactly, Watson. I suggest we lose no time in visiting Carruthers Minor. Though I'm sure Dr. Ponsonby would consider it unethical, this is one occasion when another doctor's opinion is absolutely vital. There, Carruthers. This is Dr. Watson. He's come to make you well.
You can't make me well. Dr. Ponsonby says I've got pneumonia.
Oh, nonsense, my dear boy. You've got a slight cold, that's all.
If Dr. Ponsonby says I've got pneumonia's what I've got.
Nothing of the kind, my boy. Nothing of the kind.
Watson, you notice this bed is anchored to the floor? It can't be moved. What does that suggest to you?
Well, again, it reminds me of Tuck Moran and Dr. Rylott. But I don't see any bell pull.
No, Watson. No bell rope is needed, because no murderous snake is involved in this plot. But look up there, directly above the bed.
A small trapdoor.
Leading from Mrs. Arkwright's room. Now the whole picture's clear. The trapdoor, the strange marks on the dead boys, the beaded bag that you saw.
What was that?
I don't know. Lord Manders is standing guard in the hallway.
It's Dr. Ponsonby. He's come to look at my pneumonia.
Mrs. Arkwright.
I know you were expecting Lord Manders. He's lying in the hallway. He was looking in the wrong direction. Unfortunately for him.
Don't let Mrs. Arkwright come near me. Don't let her.
Mrs. Arkwright, I'd put that revolver away if I were you. I doubt if you know how to handle it.
I assure you that I do. Having used the butt end of it on your friend so successfully should prove that fact.
Reverend Watson.
Right, you are.
Get away from
Drop
me.
that revolver, Mrs. Arkwright.
That's right. And you can't have it.
Drop that revolver, do you hear me? That's better. I say, Holmes, she's fainted.
Good. Help me carry her up to a room.
Well, what about young Carruthers and Lord Manders?
We must remove them to a place of safety, and then, Watson, all that remains is to call on the giggling Dr. Ponsonby.
It's very dark in here, Holmes. I don't like this at all.
Quiet. Somebody's coming. Good evening, Dr. Ponsonby. Let me light your desk lamp for you.
You startled me. Who are you? What are you doing in my study?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. Dr. Watson, you've already met.
Yes, we've met, you scoundrel.
Oh, yes, my friend the Scotsman. I was expecting you both. By the way, please put that revolver away. Firearms make me nervous.
Dr. Ponsonby, I know how those 5 boys were murdered. I would venture the opinion that you once spent some time for the sake of your health in America. In Arizona Territory, I'd say.
I wonder what makes you think that, Mr. Holmes. I've never been in America in my life.
And yet I'm certain that someone here spent some time in the vicinity of the Gila River.
Well, I understand that Mrs. Arkwright was in America a few years ago.
Mrs. Arkwright? Dr. Ponsonby, is it possible you're hoping to transfer our suspicions to your accomplice?
My accomplice? You talk in riddles, Mr. Holmes. It's most confusing.
Then shall we be more specific? You consider Carruthers Minor to be quite ill, I understand.
Oh, yes, I'm dreadfully worried about him.
Well, then let me tell you, Dr. Ponsonby, that I examined the boy only a few minutes ago, and as a medical man, I say that he only has a slight cold.
Then obviously we disagree in our diagnosis, Dr. Watson. After all, you're just a general practitioner, whereas I specialize...
Yes, we know what you specialize in.
Gentlemen, I suggest the 3 of us go over to Carruthers' room and hold a consultation. it's just possible that his health has taken a sudden turn for the better.
But the bed's empty. Carruthers Minor has gone.
Yes, Dr. Ponsonby. And suppose you take his place.
Oh, and I've got him, Holmes.
Leave me alone. What are you going to do?
Lash you to this bed and see if you can stomach your own filthy medicine.
This is outrageous.
Of course. I think that if we were to reconstruct your crimes with you as the victim, we might persuade you to confess.
Mrs. Arkwright! Mrs. Arkwright, help!
I'm afraid she can't help you. She's in her room with the door locked from the outside.
There we are, Holmes. He's lashed up so that he can't move.
But you don't understand. Mrs. Arkwright has a ring stuck.
Great heavens! What was that?
Mrs. Arkwright. It came from the room above. Come on, Watson. Quick, up the stairs.
She's fainted again.
Feel her pulse.
Just go to... Holmes, there is no pulse. She's dead.
The poison works fast. Observe those marks on her wrist.
Looks as if some animal had bitten it.
It has. And that means the animal's loose in this room.
Great heavens!
Somehow it must have escaped from its cage and turned on her. Guard the door, Watson. Our lives are not safe until we've found this monster.
I don't understand.
Look. Look! Under that washstand there.
Good heavens, it's that beaded handbag again. And it's moving.
Give me your walking stick, Watson.
Here.
There. This diabolical creature has done enough damage for one lifetime.
It's dead, Holmes. But what in thunder is it? It looks like some sort of lizard. It's all pink and covered all over with black scales. That's what made me think it was a handbag. But I've never seen a lizard as large as that.
Of course you haven't. So let me introduce you to the peculiar villain of this piece. His name is Heloderma suspectum, better known as the Gila monster, indigenous to the Gila River in America.
I've never seen anything like it before. How on earth did you recognize it, Holmes?
When Mr. Coffin, the undertaker, mentioned those strange marks on the dead boys, I was reminded of an article I'd read recently on venomous lizards.
So that telegram you sent
was to the Museum of Natural History. Their answer confirmed my suspicions. The Gila monster's bite produces almost instantaneous death, and yet it's a poison that would be extremely hard to identify. The fixed bed in the room below us, the trap door directly above it in this room, and the help of an unscrupulous accomplice like Mrs. Arkwright makes the rest of the picture very clear.
And now that the monster's dead, how are you going to frighten Dr. Ponsonby into a confession?
Dr. Ponsonby need not know the animal's dead. Examine the floor, Watson. See if you can find that trap door.
Right you are, Holmes.
Meanwhile, I'll see if I can find some cord or string. Here's a ball of twine on the dressing table, placed there for use in the intended murder of Carruthers Minor, no doubt.
Found the trap, Holmes. There's a ring here in the floor and a section of the carpet's been cut out.
Good. And now to attach the twine to the body of the Gila monster. So. All right, Watson. Open the trap door.
Very well, Holmes.
Well, Dr. Ponsonby, have you changed your mind?
Mrs. Arkwright! Mrs. Arkwright!
She's dead, Dr. Ponsonby. Your Gila monster turned on her.
No!
I'm going to lower the animal, Watson. There we are.
Oh, get away from me! Just a few more feet will do the trick, Holmes.
Yes. There.
Take it away! I tell you anything! Everything!
You'll sign a confession?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, yes, I will! Just take that beast away and I'll sign anything!
We'll be down, Dr. Ponsonby.
Well, Holmes, thank heavens that's done with. What a shocking affair.
Yes, Watson. But not without a note of poetic justice.
What do you mean?
Well, isn't it poetic justice that a dead reptile should be instrumental in bringing a live one to the gallows?
Quite a gruesome finale, Dr. Watson.
It certainly was, Mr. Bell. All in all, one of the most unpleasant adventures that Holmes and I ever encountered.
In just a moment, Dr. Watson will be back to tell us about next week's story. Girls, how would you like a thrilling new experience? Then just listen to how beautiful Powers models glamour bathe their hair.
We certainly were thrilled to discover the amazing beautifying action of Kreml shampoo. It actually glamour bathes each tiny strand of hair and leaves hair sparkling for days with natural glossy luster.
And Kreml shampoo is so mild and gentle. It positively contains no harsh caustics or chemicals. Instead, it has a beneficial oil base which helps keep the hair from becoming dry or brittle.
Oh, and don't forget how its luxurious active foam penetrates right to the scalp and removes all loose dandruff as well as the dirt.
Girls, why not follow the advice of these $1 Million Powers models and glamour bathe your hair with beautifying Kreml shampoo? It takes only 10 minutes right at home. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, how about next week?
Well, now, let me see. Next week, I think I'll tell you the adventure of the genuine Garnerius, in which Holmes solved the mystery of Drenko, the famous violinist, who was found dead in a locked room clutching a suicide note, but who nevertheless had been murdered.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Speckled Band. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures, Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of the genuine Garnerius. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
What do you clock 'em, Don?
Check with your watch, Frankie.
Well, it's not bad. Not bad for a sleeper.
I'd call it pretty fair. Pretty fair.
Speed Boy's better.
Sure?
I clocked in myself yesterday morning.
How'd you get into the track?
I didn't. Slipped the janitor a fin, watched from the roof of the clubhouse. What we own is a second-place sure shot.
It's too bad. We could clean up, but...
If we are going to clean up on every bookie in the country.
On this horse? A placer?
Why not? Just leave it to Frankie. I'll take care of Speed Boy and take all the suckers to the cleaners in the same operation.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Giddyup Horsey, starring Richard Webb. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Webb as Frankie Paston in Giddyup Horsey. They call it the sport of kings, and it is. There's a real thrill in watching the thoroughbreds thunder into the home stretch, hooves flying, necks outstretched, the bright bits of color in the jockey's silks flashing in the sunlight. Yes, that part of it is real sport. But the opposite side of the coin is far from that attractive. That side is peopled by men like Frankie Paston and his trusted lieutenant, Don Spelman. They've made themselves part of racing, and their operations cast a dark shadow across many a sunlit racetrack. You'll find them in the crowd in the grandstand, as excited in their way as Frankie and Don were the day they watched their choice front runner come pounding into the stretch.
All right, Don, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I don't need field glasses. I can see him. He's running third.
Well, you can't see Jackson Fourth foaming at the bit.
What?
Jocko took good care of him.
Needle?
Not a chance. In the feed bag. The cinch. Here they come. Our nag's making him fid. Now that Jackson's fading fast.
Oh, brother, at 8-1. Not bad at all.
Well, Donny boy, shall we collect our swag?
Why not? I could name a few characters who aren't very fond of you. 8-1. Yippee!
And a few at 10-1. I put 1,000 or so down before the odds dropped.
Not bad at all. Too bad they dropped.
Well, the suckers put their money in the machines on our nag. They think they were lucky. A long shot. Well, that's what makes horse racing a good business.
What do you mean, the old gag, difference of opinion?
Not with me. That makes racing a gamble. I said business. And business means a sure thing.
Even long shots are business when they're mine. Check?
Check. Well, the owner of the winner. Coming down to the circle, Paston?
Well, how are you, Mr. Martin? I haven't seen you in some time.
I've been busy keeping racing honest. So men like you can run your horses with peace of mind.
And my thanks for that.
You're welcome. Nice to have a long odds winner, isn't it?
Well, prize money's the same, and I don't bet.
Well, then you are different. Well, congratulations again. I'll see you around, Paston.
You can bet on that, Martin.
Hey, boss, I don't get it. You sound like a mealy-mouthed...
Donny boy, Dave Martin is the racing commissioner. Enough said?
Check. Sorry, boss. Should have known.
As long as Martin thinks I'm clean, I operate. Let's go.
Yeah, but where? The payoff windows are the other way.
You forgot. We've got a winner. Winner's circle next stop, Donny. We've got to collect our little blanket of roses. Easy, boy, easy.
Fair to go, Mr. Paston.
Yeah, I know, and it's so early in the morning. And it's a horse's life, Chaco, a horse's life.
He don't seem to mind.
Eric's a smart GG, always willing to earn his oats. Well, all set, Chaco?
Yes, sir.
All right, let him out, but not all the way.
Well, I saw in the stables this morning.
Maybe, maybe not. No use taking chances. We'll clock him, then chop off whatever you think we can do it. Go ahead.
Get a boss. Come on, let's ride it.
Got your watch, Don?
Mm-hmm, right here.
Good. Here we go. Mist ought to help keep us under wraps.
He's at the post.
You click your watch when Jocko lets him run. Now.
Yeah. He runs pretty.
Yeah, that nag cost me plenty.
I thought you picked him up in a claiming race.
I did. It's not the original cost. It's the upkeep.
Just like with a woman, huh?
Women don't run like that.
I saw this in a movie once. Empty track, couple of guys timing their horse. You know, win the race, save the old homestead.
Yeah, like us. Win the race, build a new homestead.
Yeah. How about that character, Martin?
He won't get wise. If we have a horse and the money.
You figure all the angles, huh?
And how? You can't get away with it. If you run an ag that follows everything else home. But if you've got a horse that looks legit, catch on?
Catch. He's making the turn.
Yeah, Jocko rides him nice. What do you clock him, Don?
Check with your watch.
It's not bad. Not bad for a sleeper.
They call it pretty fair. Pretty fair.
Well, the speed boy's better.
Sure?
Sure, I clocked him myself yesterday morning.
How'd you get into the track?
I didn't. Slipped the janitor a fin, watched from the roof of the clubhouse. What we own is a second-place sure shot.
It's too bad. We could clean up
if we are going to clean up on every bookie in the country.
On this horse, a placer?
Why not? Leave it to Frankie. I'll take care of Speed Boy and take all the suckers to the cleaners in the same operation. And that, Donny boy, is that. Eric Second is now officially entered in the sixth race. Unofficially, he's got it in the bag.
Thanks, boss. The commissioner.
Oh, thanks, Donny. Well, Mr. Martin, how are you?
Pretty good, Paston. I haven't seen you since last time you had a winner.
Oh, I've been around. How about you?
Busy.
Trouble?
A little. Not for publication, though.
Oh, is that so?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that race you won is under investigation.
Oh, that's news. Why?
Well, they've suspended Jackson Fourth's jockey. The owner noticed foam in the horse's muzzle. Had it analyzed.
Drugs? I thought the needle was old-fashioned.
There's no sign of a needle. It was in either the feed or the water bucket. But we're keeping this very quiet until we have more information.
And meantime, the jockey doesn't work anymore.
I'm afraid not.
Too bad. You sure it was him?
We're not sure of anything, Paston, but we can't afford to take chances. We want racing to stay clean in this state.
I'll go along with that. Well, if anything I can do... Want to question my boy Jocko, Commissioner?
Jocko Barry? Oh, that's not necessary. The movies show he rode a perfectly honest race.
Well, anything, anytime, Commissioner.
Thank you, Paston. I'll remember that. Good luck with Eric Second.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything, anytime, Commissioner. Oh, boss, butter wouldn't melt in your mouth.
You think I ought to tell him, Donnie?
Tell him what?
That it wasn't the jockey's fault. That it wasn't in the water bucket.
You nuts?
We want racing to stay clean in this state. Well, racing's gonna be cleaned, all right, Donnie boy. But not the way Dave Martin wants it. Not that way at all.
Jocko's here, boss. He's got the info.
Bring him in.
Check. Okay, Jocko. Hi, Mr. Baston.
Hiya, Jocko. What have you got?
Name of the boy will be up on Speedboy.
Give.
Arno. Jackie Arno.
How much?
As far as I can find out, Jackie won't play.
Anybody plays for enough dough?
But this kid, his father rode, too, and his grandpa owned horses. He loved the racket.
Anybody ever try him?
Remember Les Hemming, Mr. Paston?
Yeah, took a rep of bookmaking, horse fixing?
That's the one.
So?
So Hemming tried to get to Arno. Jackie not only wouldn't play, he turned him into the commission.
Well, looks like we've got a small problem. Jocko, what does our friend Jackie do for amusement when he isn't playing stoolie for the commission?
Not very much. Nobody seems to know.
Got a girlfriend?
Not so far as we know.
Well, what does he do around the stables? Who are his friends?
The horses, period.
Oh, not even the galloping dominoes once in a while?
Oh, that's sure. We all do.
Now, look, Jocko. You know the commission's rules against gambling, especially for jockeys. The boys might get into debt to the wrong people.
Well, how much can you lose in a penny game?
Well, maybe the stakes could go higher.
With Jackie?
He might go along, if the other fellas did.
How much do I take him for?
That doesn't matter. Just get him playing. That's your part of the job.
Easy enough.
Donnie and I'll take care of the rest. From what you told me, Jocko, our young friend wants to keep writing.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, but if the commission finds out he's been gambling, see what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. He might do us a little favor, huh?
Yeah, like pulling Speedboy. Yes, Jocko, exactly. You see, in that case, he'd keep writing. If not, well, he'd be barred from the track. Commissioner Martin takes my word for a lot of things, and meantime, I take the suckers for a lot of dough. Simple, isn't it? You know, boys, I think we're going to make a killing. I really think this one is going to be the big one. But only time will tell.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Giddyup Horsey. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Webb as Frankie Paston in Giddyup Horsey. The date of the important race drew near. Eric II continued to improve his form. So did Speedboy. The odds remained very much the same. Meanwhile, Frankie Paston went ahead with his plans. Jocko Berry set the trap for the little Jackie Arno, and that young man found himself caught badly.
I know what you're thinking, Jocko. And so, Jackie, my boy? Yeah. You're thinking a fellow who hasn't got the dough shouldn't get mixed up in dollar stakes. 500 smackers is a lot of dough. Well, I'll get it for you. You said that before. I mean it. Look, kid, I don't think I'll wait very long. Let's make it the day after tomorrow. What? Day after tomorrow? Right. Day after tomorrow. You meet me in the last stall in the fourth stable down at the track. You get me? What for? Look, what do I have to do? Spell it out for you? Well, I won't have the dough by then. Be there, see? And maybe I'll figure out some way to let you work off the dough. Get it? Work it off. That you, Jackie? Yeah, it's me. Oh, you decided to come, huh? Did I have any choice? Oh, I'm glad to see it that way, kid. Smart. No, not smart. Just plain dumb. I shouldn't have got mixed up in that game to start with. I shouldn't have played when the stakes got so high. I shouldn't have let you loan me more dough when I got cleaned. Oh, what's the use? What do you want?
Oh, just a small favor.
Well, I won't have any dough to pay you till after Speedboy wins a week from Saturday.
Hey, Jackie, how'd you like to pay off without dough?
Without dough? How?
Just a favor.
Go on. Talk.
Look, a week from Saturday, that last turn, see, just before the stretch, you make a small mistake, say.
What kind of a mistake?
Oh, say, pull wide on a turn so I could take the rail with Eric second.
What? Throw the race?
You never know, except maybe you and me.
You know they take movies of the whole race, and the stewards watch with the glasses.
Oh, you'd make a mistake, that's all. You had what you owe me, and maybe 1,000 or so more.
Excuse me, I gotta go now.
Are you kidding?
I just remembered a date I got.
Look, I could have a date, too, with Commissioner Martin.
Martin?
You gambled, didn't you? You lost a lot of dough, didn't you? He'll buy you for life.
Oh, Jocko, you wouldn't do that.
No. Not if you pull wide a week from Saturday.
I never threw a race in my life. My father never did. I got a date, all right, with the commissioner. I'll tell him I gambled, and I'll tell him how it happened and what you just asked me to do.
Got a big mouth, haven't you, kid?
What?
For a little guy, he sure has.
Who are you? Hey, let me out of here.
Not so fast, Jackie boy. Introduce us, Jocko.
Jackie Arno, Frankie Paston, and Don Spelman.
Frankie Paston?
Gonna do Jocko his little favor, kid?
No. Nobody can make me.
Think so, kid?
I'll die first.
Maybe he'll do just that. Think so, Don?
It could be.
You leave me alone.
With your big mouth, are you silly?
Keep away. Don't you touch me, don't you?
Let him have it, Don.
With the shift, boys?
No, with your fists, and maybe Jocko would like to get in the liquor, too. With that 2x4. I specialize in footwork myself.
No, please, no.
Get up. You heard Jocko. Shut up.
Big mouth, don't move. Okay. He's well done.
He looks sort of rare to me. What a mess. Drag him out of here, boss?
Not on your life, Jocko. The nag next door.
The wild one?
That's the one. Put him in the stall. The perfect alibi. Young jockey kicked to death by unruly horse. Hey, you want to see me, Commissioner?
Oh, yes, Paston. Come in. Close the door. Paston, this is Lieutenant McCullough. Mr. Frank Paston.
How do you do, Lieutenant?
How are you?
Sit down, Paston.
Thanks.
The lieutenant is in command of the gambling squad.
That's so. Well, must be interesting work.
It is, at times. Especially when homicide is involved.
Homicide? Somebody dead?
A jockey.
That's so. Oh, that's too bad. Which one?
Jackie Arno. I knew his father.
And that's why Mac is handling this himself, not the homicide detail. Special permission.
I see. That's too bad. Jackie was a nice kid.
Yes, I know. And he loves Speedboy.
I understand the owner is putting Kid Johnson up on Speedboy for Saturday.
That's another good jockey. How was Arno killed?
His body was found in a stall. Looked as if the horse had kicked him to death.
Yeah, but you think it was deliberate?
We know it. The horse belonged to the next stall. It obviously been moved after the killing. And there wasn't one mark of a horse's hoof on the body. Very sloppy killing. Certainly a sloppy attempt to cover it.
Yeah, well, it sounds pretty bad. Think anybody tried to get to Arno, Dave?
Almost undoubtedly. Any ideas, Paston?
Nope, not an idea in the world. Anybody who knew Jackie knew that he couldn't be reached.
Anybody around this track you know of who maybe didn't know him? That well, at any rate?
Well, everybody knew him. He was a nice kid, as I said before.
Yes, he was. Nothing you can tell us, Mr. Paston?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Lieutenant. But if I think of anything, or I can be of any help at all,
Well, thanks, Paston. If racing is going to be kept clean, we need everyone's cooperation.
You can count on me, Commissioner. Anytime. All right, Don, Jocko, the heat's on.
Cops?
And the commissioner. They know Arnold wasn't killed by any horse.
Hey, that's bad.
Well, it's not good. All they need is someone who'll square we were around that stall.
I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
Shut up and listen. This is the layout. It's 4 days till Saturday. Our time's a-wasting. The odds on Eric have got to go sky high. We're going to make this last one a big one. Then we're going to get out.
Well, what's the orders, boss?
We've got to get Kid Johnson first.
The kid riding the speed boy?
Right.
What if he don't play?
He's got to. Well, we're done.
We ain't going to kill him, too. Shut up and listen, will you? Okay, I heard you.
Jocko, you know where Johnson hangs out?
Sure, he's been around a long time. You find him in a juke joint over on Palmetto Street.
I don't find him. You do.
Look, I don't want no more part of this. I heard the boss, Jocko. Okay, I heard. What do you want me to say to him? That's a cinch, kid. Just go wide on the last turn. Eric's second and me, we'll do the rest.
Where do I come in, Jocko?
In your play.
I'm not in this racket because I love horses.
My boss says you can have 2 G's after the race.
4.
What?
4 G's.
Well, take 3, huh? That's my limit.
Okay. $3,000. Right after the race. It's a deal.
It's a deal. What are you going to do, boss?
I'm going to dump $20,000 in the pair of mutuals. All on Speed Boy. That ought to run the odds on Eric up to about 20 to 1.
You're going to lose $20,000 on Speed Boy, boss?
Who cares? And I'll take the bookies for $500,000.
Yeah? Ready with Detroit, boss.
Check. Hello, Chuck. Look, will you take me for $5,000 on Eric the 2nd and the 6th tomorrow? Sure, I want track odds. Okay, so I'm crazy. Maybe not.
Now, hold it a second, will you?
Right. So long.
Here's Frisco, boss.
Thanks. Hello, Beanie. Look, kid, I want you to put on about $5,000 for me on Eric's 2nd and the 6th tomorrow. Spread it around so as nobody will be wise, see? Give me the track odds. Sure, I know something. And Beanie, half a G of that is yours at 20 to 1.
They're having trouble at the gate with Speed Boy.
Yeah, the Johnson's giving a good performance.
Oh, now they got him back in.
They'll go in a minute.
They're off.
Well, stop sounding like a sucker, Donny boy.
Speed Boy's got the rail.
That's according to plan.
Good boy in the saddle, that Jocko.
Why do you suppose he works for me?
Yeah, hey, ain't he holding back a little too much?
He's not in the pocket. I told him to move up at the end of the backstretch. There he goes.
Yeah, that Speed Boy can run.
Yeah, so can that Eric.
Hey, something's busting out over there.
Well, there's nothing wrong. Johnson's holding his head. Jocko's just a half a length.
No, back further, boss. Number 8. Driving out of the pack.
Black Pirate? There's nothing to worry about.
He's crowding Eric already.
Yeah, that kind of a horse always drives in the backstretch and then fades out on the turn. Watch him now.
Yeah, but is he fading or is Jocko moving ahead?
Same difference, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a 2-horse race now. You sure got 'em all figured, boss.
Yeah, maybe that's why you call me boss.
Now they're making a turn.
Yeah, watch that Speed Boy. Here he goes. Wide. There comes Eric. He's coming through.
No, but he ain't swinging, boss. He ain't.
Pull out. Pull out. Get outside of there.
Careful, boss. Careful.
That dirty little double. I'll hit him fine forever.
I don't believe it. Wait till I get my hands on that junk.
Beg your pardon? Did you say something, Mr. Spelvin?
What?
Hello, Commissioner. Good race. Can't win all the time, can I?
No, you can't, Paston. That's a fact. I think Mac here agrees with you.
No, you can't, Paston. Especially when you play with murder.
What do you mean, murder? What is this, a frame-up? Look here, Commissioner.
I wouldn't make a scene or try anything, Paston. For you either, Spelvin. My men have been around you in a crowd since you came to the track today.
Let me out of here. I didn't do nothing. I didn't...
Quiet, you. I'd appreciate the chance to let you have it, both of you. You're under arrest. You better come quietly.
What's the charge, Lieutenant? And it better be good. False arrest carries heavy damage.
Stop it, Paston. We have you cold. As it happens, Kid Johnson's been working with me for some time. He was put up on Speed Boy at my suggestion. And your Jocko has cocked his head on. He may be mean, but he couldn't take that killing. Now, will you come quietly, or do we have to carry you out?
Crime does not pay. Richard Webb, who was starred as Frankie Paston in Giddyup Horsey, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Richard Webb.
Well, the story that we've just played for you, with all its ramifications of gambling, crookedness, and the kind of violence that goes hand in hand with men like Frankie Paston, well, this is typical of many events in the past. I think it's important to point out that Frankie and his gang based their operations on the suckers, the people who persist in making their bets not through the legal pari-mutuel machines, but through illegal bookmakers, all of whom pay their tribute to organized crime. Now, men like Frankie find it easy pickings among such people, of whom there are more than many of us would like to admit. But from these facts, there is but one conclusion to be drawn, that illegal bettors actually compound crime. Yes, of course, they lose, always. For them, as well as for all the Frankies, in the end, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical advisor is Burton D. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.